What is sad is if I hadn't have bought that book and I hadn't have done all that hard work getting that film off, he wouldn't have done a fucking tour. Nobody would really know who he is, right? He would have just been, oh yeah, he was a doorman and he was in the ICF and he knew these guys, but he would never have become as famous as he is now.
He believes in his head that he is Tony Tucker reincarnated.
Look, I've got a fucking great idea. Rise of the Footsoldier in space, right? Pat, Craig and Tony, ironing out Martians, stamping on fucking aliens, serving up gear, sniffing it off the moon. It'd be fucking epic.
So to me, I thought, you ain't got no morals or principle, you know what I mean? You're just like the rest of them.
For some reason, he feels like he has to keep going on about me with the silly wig, you know, playing his best mate and all this. I just look at it and I just think, what is wrong with you, mate? It's all uncalled for.
If you're his friend, you ain't my friend. I said, we can't be friends.
Well, look, if you don't like that one, what about Rise of the Old Age Pensioners, where we're just in an old people's home, we're like fucking stamping on geezers who piss on the floor and serving up gear to the fucking birds having a blue rinse. I mean, honestly, mate, it'd be fucking great. You know, we can have Zimmer frames, we can like pull swords out of them, it'd be fucking epic. Hold on a minute, mate, I've got a fucking text. You fucking cunt.
It's been messy for years with you, Terry, like, where's it all stem from?
Muscle had just come out. And then he rang me a few weeks later, he said, I've spoken to a couple of people. He went, this is, mate, a blinding film. But he bought my book and he made me because he bought my book and turned it into a film.
Keeps spouting all this shit online and you just sort of think, you know, what is wrong with this guy?
My book was the start of the franchise. I started the Rise of the Footsoldier.
I think the sad thing about it is he's never once thanked me. All he ever seems to do is just go online and just go on about the families. But when he did the first one, he didn't care about the families. But now, because he's not involved, it seems to be about the families.
If you're someone that keeps having a go at you, someone keeps digging you out, it becomes personal. I ain't gonna ever apologise to you.
You got the mankini?
Why, you got the fucking wig?
Might have.
Probably one of the most unlikeliest guests coming on this podcast.
We're here now to set the records right. Rise of the Footsoldier would never have happened without you. Oh, they got 10 years for selling pills, or they got their heads blown off. We've never really told them stories, Tel. So Tony went to me, fancy doing a bit of security for Nigel Benn. My reputation don't mean nothing in this day and age. I'm an old man. Pat was unstable. He just turned on you and go, oh, Carol, yeah, I'll just have half. Looked up at him smiling, like, and I went, love you like a brother. I spoke to Tony the night before, had my back. I said, I can't be so Craig went along. Whether people believe that, I don't really care.
Would you say that Pat Tate was a bad influence?
The person who killed him could be dead for all we know. He flew away all the way to Sheffield, London. I said, Tone, you've got to go to hospital.
Well, Nigel wouldn't have hit him with an ashtray, but just hit him, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
If you'd have decided to stay in with the Footsoldier stuff, Carlton Leach would have probably popped up in all of it.
Buying an ounce a day, piping it. I trusted you with the persona of my best friend. You was my friend in the beginning, and you'll be my friend at the end.
Welcome back to the Criminal Connection podcast, and this episode is proudly brought to you by Betovo.
Welcome back to the Criminal Connection podcast. My name's Terry Stone, and today we've got probably one of the most unlikeliest guests coming on this podcast. I offered him to come on. He was going to wear a mankini and I was going to wear a wig. He politely declined that offer, but unfortunately, one of our dear friends, his name's Brian Tuff, went, and when I say went, he basically died of cancer, and that has actually meant that we've actually reached out to each other through the death of our friend, and today we've got the man, the myth, the legend. He's written books. He's had films made about him. Please put your hands together for Carlton Hammer Leach.
Thank you, Tel.
Good to see you, mate.
Yeah, after all this time.
No one's going to believe this. You know?
I know. And I needed to reach out, for that reason. And do you know what? It was important to me because we never really had an argument. We never fell out. There was nothing like that. And I think due to social media and all of the hype with everything else, I think, and us being But both his mates one another. Really, we should have made that phone call a long, long time ago. And I thought about it, and I sat there in my front room, and I just got the news that he was on his last few days. And I spoke to the boys up that way, which you all knew from the doors and everything else, to see if they'd let you know. And no one said they'd seen you or spoke to you. Right. And I had that little bit of epiphany. I sat there and I was realising in my life at 65, well, I'm 66 now, and a pensioner.
Have you got little cars you can get on the buses?
No, I thought my sister was going to do it for me. I told her to f*** off. I couldn't do that. It's bad enough for being classed as a pensioner. I got for my first payment this week. Fucking hell. And I've never done it on drugs. Right. I've got myself a hamper. Right. But no, on a serious note, and I just sat there and I was rethinking about, when you're losing friends, man, just someone as close as he is, and how loved he was as a man. And I knew what you thought about him. I knew what he thought about you. And I thought, do you know what? Forgetting all the other shit that's gone on and the bad publicity and whatever, everything, I thought someone needed to tell you. And I thought, do you know what, Cole? Get on the phone and ring Terry up. You're like, just phone him and get it out of the way. And use that. I don't say use that, but I needed to tell you because it's the right thing to do. Whatever our differences were, whatever it is, that's a respectful moment that someone needed to tell you. And do you know what? And I'm glad it was me. I'm not glad it was me that let you know, but to ring you up. So I rang you up and then we went, blah, 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 had a little thing, a little up about the last podcast. And then I just went up and I thought, Cole, hold it in, just talk like two grown men. And once we started talking, it was like the old days. And you hit the nail on the head, what we doing? 30 years we've known each other. From the days, the rave scenes, the stories, and the thing is, and what we did, and the laughs, and the people, the same friends, same circles. Yeah. And we thought and the truth is, the film Rise of Footsoldier, it would never have happened without you. I know I wrote Muscle, right. And then you had got the copy of Muscle and everything else, and Ascot, when we were working down there, and then just got the meetings and all the things, and then go back to the days of Marrakesh, and people don't even know the past. We don't. No. Why are we talking about the bad stuff? I'm too old in the tooth to go to the grave, and now my think, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I do it soon? And I thought, do you know what? And I never told a soul. Didn't even run it by the people I love. I just thought, just ring him. And that's the best way to do it.
And I've got to say, it was a fucking funny phone call because the phone rang and I didn't know the number. And I was like, hello? And you were like, hello, Tel, it's Carlton. And I was like, who? And you were like, Carlton Leach. And I was like, this is a fucking bizarre conversation. I mean, I thought, I should have said, it's not Terry, it's Tony.
Yeah, that'd go down a treat.
but do you know what? I think essentially, when we go back to, I think we should go back to if we rewind and go back to the rave days because I think I mean obviously everybody knows your story. Obviously you've been on podcasts, you've written a book. So we don't need to sort of say, where did you grow up? When did you join the inner city?
I've done more than that than you. You put them when but remember when it was Black Jacket Films? Remember before we
Black
went
Jacket, rolling in the nines.
Yeah. But you remember the first thing when we done the story and we and then you introduced me to Julian and William, you know what I mean? But what I was saying to you is how many years ago was that?
Well, that was so rolling with the nines. That come out
because obviously the Premier things, remember? And then we all went for an Indian afterwards. You, Adam, and it was a crowd of us, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Do you know? Yeah. But it was, it was quite funny because Julian, the picture of the 9mm.
Yeah.
Someone give me a 9mm bullet. He had the real bullet to put in. Sorry.
No, he was because he rang me up and he went. That Carlton Leach. He goes. He's given me a 9mm bullet
for the thing. I said,
it was
your film. I went to do that, so it goes like the thing. Little twist.
But what? Some of the things that I'd love to discuss today before we get into obviously the club stuff, because there's a lot of stuff obviously around.
Can I just say something as well, Joe? It's while we were here before we go, is people go you hate someone. it wasn't hatred. I was annoyed with you. I thought like you because I was told certain things that you had done and everything, and the buck was being put on you, which started off from like the financing, money, and everything else. So let me just get this. Hatred is a big word.
Right.
If it was hatred, it wouldn't have dragged on as long as it did. It was, I got anger, I took my anger out and everything else, and we ended up being the pawns and being in the middle. And I realised we couldn't hit that, but we're here now today, and to set the records right. And,
selling the beef.
Yeah. But it's just something I needed to do for me as a person. And I think Brian, I didn't know, even to tell you, I had a lump in my throat because I knew what how he was and what you thought of him, and I'm glad. I'm not glad I told you, but I'm glad it was me that went out their way to let you know, because no one else would have done that.
Well, Brian, when we were doing the raves, he was one of my most sort of trusted guys, and I worked with him. I think he was working with us on the door for probably 8 or 9 years. And he was always funny because he was quite wiry. He didn't look
very underestimated.
Like he could have it, but he really.
But he's a little bit of a Adonis, isn't he? He used to have the album brace, his ponytail, and everything. But could that man fight? Well, you know what he's like with all his martial arts. Well, I met him. It's a funny old story. There was something happened years and years ago before the race in the early 80s, and he was 17, right? And he kicked off at Cat's Whiskers in Streatham. There was a big kickboxing dude. It was all fighting, kicking off, and loads of things happened. I got done with the axe, which the original story. Remember going back, not on the train, but anyway, it was at this do, and then I had to get back. And there was a big thing with some people in East London, and they were connected to certain two brothers who were a little bit naughty. I'm not going to say names. And this fellow who done me with the axe, who I known with, it was sort of a mistake thing and that. I was helping him fight. Cut long story short, this is how Brian, when we actually met in 88, right, to do a rave, he said to me, I turned up there on my own, right? Obviously, I was carrying everything, and the people, the guys who had done me the axe, he bought the pub around the corner from my pub in East London. So I just went, I went there by myself. I went, I'll make an effort. So I just walked in there, called him down. I didn't know. Tuffy said to me, he was 17, he was upstairs, 17, 18, with about 17, 18 of them, all loaded up with all sorts and everything, waiting. They knew there was something would happen because the bloke who took the pub over, he was going to kick off. And I didn't know that. I walked into, really, I should have got out of the pub. Because I walked in on my own, and Tuffy always remembered it. He went, what the f-? He said, we was all tooled up. He said, I was sitting upstairs with the naughtiest of West London boys, right? They were all the older lot, right? They were all sitting up there. They're staying in the pub upstairs because they knew they was going to get a visit. So, and that's how he heard my name.
Right.
So when we met, that was the early 80s. And then when we met, obviously 88, it was, he turned up, him, Frank and Tony Baptiste, because them three were always together. This was before Paul Pinto as well.
Right.
And it was the early days when breaking into warehouses, when it first started all off, the old acid house. So I'm there with Dave, Mark Carpel, Food in North London boys, all us. We're in a van. But me, silly bollocks, I thought, I just got into the Jack and Jills, didn't I? So I thought, I'll take my own bag with me. So I had about 25 of these. And I thought, and all of a sudden we turned up, there was about 6 of us in this old work van. Then Tuffy turned up with Frank and that, and we got introduced together. And then and he went, I said, we never met, but we nearly met.
Right.
And we started laughing. He told me the story and that, and then Frank and Tony and all that. And then we started doing sort of we really hit off, and we're talking, having a laugh and a giggle. So we've gone back to going to the warehouse. So he was appearing there. All of a sudden, old people turned up from everywhere. So I had them old feeler trainer boots on in them days with the wrap over. You used to your jeans and that. So I thought, wow, where do I put them? So I put them down inside my train. I thought, they won't find them. They dragged us out the van, pulled the van out for weapons and all that. And they said, what are you doing here? And I said, I was security and all that. So they got me out, stripped all down, come down, went like that, and went, what's these? But they didn't know what they were.
Right.
They didn't. They was called. They didn't say E's in. It was like C, but because they had to send them off to be analysed. They were the good ones in the days, So I ended up in North London in the nick all weekends and everything. And they didn't the old bill that actually nicked me didn't really know what they were. They'd never seen them. That was their first ecstasy they'd seen. You know, after that, obviously, they've seen millions. But, and that's how we started. So, like, that night, when we got back together. There were a couple of other raves we worked, and we turned up, and they got raided. That was when they started. Old people turning up and shutting them down and all that. And obviously, like Hampton Court, Surrey, like all the ways over this neck of the wood, I'd go and just got friendship with him over the years, you know, and did a few things with him, you know what I mean? But we just kept our friendship up, you know, like it was a friendship that's meant to be, you know. But loved the man, you know, and he weren't like a normal doorman, was he? You know? He weren't like you wouldn't particularly go, oh, if you picked a doorman out, you think, oh, I'll rate him. You'd look at him and you would not go.
Well, he's the sort of bloke you bump into in a club and go, "Which way you going, mate?"
Yeah,
and then he fucking whack you in.
We're all right there. Look back, yes. What about excuse me? Yeah, and he just like, and he wouldn't even argue. He wouldn't want to. He's saying it like that, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
and his neck would come up like me a cat. But he was awesome. Yeah.
I mean, Brian Tough, for anybody who doesn't know, as I said, Carlton, you know.
But people should know him, shouldn't they, really?
I mean, he was a legend.
Yeah.
And I think all the people that we've run the doors or run the clubs.
In our circles, everyone knew him, didn't they?
Yeah, we had, it was actually quite funny. This was sort of like when we were doing the raves, but we went to a club one night in Guildford, and I can't remember what it was called. I think it was Harper's. Yeah. And we went in there, me and a couple of the guys, we just having a laugh, having a drink. And one of my mates had his girlfriend with him, and this guy went up and put his hand up her skirt. So my mates turned around and like hit the geezer and said, like, "What are you fucking doing?" And all the doormen have like jumped on my mate and Boogie, who was there as well.
Yeah,
so they all started fighting.
Yeah.
So we've got involved, and then we've all gone outside, and and it was a liberty really, but the guys were sort of going, you know, don't come back and all that. So we're definitely going to come back, and the irony of it was they phoned Brian Tough. Yeah. And said, "Oh, Brian, this guy's come down. We've like got a bit heavy with them because it kicked off in a club, and we've had a fight. And there's about 20 of them, about 4 of us. And he said, "Oh, what's the guy's name?" And he said, "Oh, this is the guy's name." And he goes, "Oh, they will definitely come back." And he goes, "Well, can't you sort that?" He goes, "Well, I'm actually with them." So he said, "You're actually bringing the wrong guy."
But what we know about, you know, that part of, you know, past Heathrow, Staines, Windsor, everywhere, all around there, is that he was the man to ring.
100%. He was Mr. You know, Thames Valley.
Yeah. But you know, like, even like, you know, saying that, you know, like enforcers, we didn't cast as enforcers. It's just the thing we did. You had your pals, you had your circles.
But that's why
if there was a problem, and that's how me and him gelled, because if there was a problem that he couldn't solve, and it was my neck of the woods or it was his neck of the woods, so we had that we'd exchanged, you know what I mean? We worked together and that's what we did. And that's how we became so close.
I mean, for anybody listening or watching this podcast, you know, how really the world works is, especially if you're in that world where you have a problem, and then like if it's in Kent, there's someone in Kent. Yes. If it's in Essex, there's someone in Essex. And normally, if your guy there can't sort it out, he knows somebody who can. So and it's much better than you just rolling up, because then they say, like, "Who the f*** is this geezer?"
But that was the same as you, because when you was in Stratford doing the do's and everything, like, that was our manner, wasn't it? And everyone knew you was there, but there was always someone that knew, got word, and no one, like, you weren't treading on no one's toes, because everybody was doing their thing in them days. So there weren't no, get rid of him, he's on our doorstep. It was different. Like, it was because there was communication. Without a mobile phone, this is the mad thing. Like there was pages.
There's no Instagram.
no Instagram, no social media. But if you needed to get hold of someone, they always got the message, didn't they? You could go to him and be a phone call, and then it'd be nipped in the bud and sorted. And people don't realise that. You know, power's not just in the physical part of violence, it's who you know and who you're associated with. And we've never really told them stories, Till.
No.
To be totally honest, all people are interested in is the fighting, in the drugs and the violence.
Right.
But that's the last resort.
Yeah.
But that was the end of the stories. Right. But what I'm saying to you is, people are not interested in, how do these people know each other? How did they get there? How did this happen? Why was that stopped? How many times that happened, Till?
Loads.
No, for real.
Yeah, loads. I mean, this.
And I'm talking about not just like white people. I'm talking black, white. Because in our circles, it was there weren't really no Asian people. It was black and white.
Yeah.
And when everyone goes, it wasn't racist because you had all black. We all had. We was all come from areas where everyone was. There was as many blacks as there was on the firm as there was whites.
Well, I actually joked with someone the other day because someone was going on about diversity, equality, and inclusion, and I actually said to him, I said, "Listen, I was the most diverse employer and rave promoter because I said 90% of my staff, whether they were DJ and MC and doorman, were ethnic minorities, and that wasn't because of any other reason. Was that they were just really good at what they did, whether it was playing music, whether it was fighting.
But you took them from the man, didn't you? What they was.
Yeah, and it was always about if it could have been all white people. Yeah, but it was who was best for the job.
From what I learned when like having we were trying to security paradise and going to Mistress Andy's, the best thing to do. I had the. Oh, well, because I grew up with a lot of blacks and I've still got a lot of black friends and, you know, Sid, he's like my brother. So what I'm saying to you is I was watching how it's sort of the evolution of the rave scene and then the black people, the white, and I thought, no, because I was watching the original Genesis days, and it was black and white. Everybody was lovely at all different areas.
I think the rave scene. I actually think the rave scene.
It broke that.
It brought down all the football firms,
north, south, east,
all the blacks, all the whites, all the Indians, all the poor, all the
everybody.
Rich. Everyone just got in a room and had a good time.
Yes, everybody, and it was the thing that up was obviously the pills got worse, and the old build shutting raves down, and then. Was come bigger and bigger, and obviously harder drugs, and then alcohol. Because in the old days, all people wanted to do was go out, fucking dance all night, be happy as fuck, all cuddling and kissing each other. Walk out, you know what I mean?
But that scene in Rise of the Footsoldier when Ricky
so spot
Ricky
on,
was playing you, and he has the E, and then he looks around and then he goes, I love you.
Yeah.
Guys need to shit these things. Yeah. It's just sort of that summed up anybody that's ever gone out, and that sums it up.
My first pill, I remember being given it, and it was a Cali when they were first out in 88, we broke in the warehouse and I kept seeing everyone like from Poplar, or like old boxers and black, and like if that was in a nightclub, a normal 2:00 nightclub, big dick, they'd be stabbing each other, breaking them old jug glasses, and fighting. At the end of the night, it always ended up a row because it was either Canning Town against Poplar or Poplar Strat, because he lit wary as cliques. Never got on, right? Until it's just made and I was thinking about this the other days. All the areas in East London, right? Like I would say all the way, they'd all be fighting on a Friday night, right? Squirting each other. That was a bit of squirt.
It was a war zone, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people sort of say now it's a nice
you
area.
You could go West London or South London or North London to drink. You had to stay on your own manor, because as soon as you went into, people knew you was from another part of London, and that was it. It was like full on. But it just made me laugh. Is like with us, is like on a Friday, I just watch people. I know everybody like Canning Town fighting Stratford, Forest, whatever, Silverton, and then all raring. And then on a Saturday, we have a meeting place, and then all meet up at the station and go to Euston. Okay, and we'd all be there with West Ham away, with all black eyes and things. Oh, hello, mate, how you doing? Right. And then fighting like a load of Northerners. Crazy. But yes, the barriers, and like I said, I analysed it. I thought the best thing to do is have the best. I thought the white and black, and have half and half. Not the picking. It wouldn't bother me if I'd had 3/4, or they would all been black. But as it crept in, and the horrible side of it coming in the early 90s, where people would go, "No, you're just knocking me back because we're black," or this. So what I do is put the black doorman there.
Right.
How's that racist?
Right.
And then if white guys come up, and my black doorman would go, "Right, you ain't coming in. Oh, you're just being." I go, "Oh, yeah."
Right.
And nip it in the bud. So they're standing going like that, and if you don't like it, don't come in.
I mean, the thing is, what a lot of people don't realise is, when people, we pretty much, you could sort of tell who was bad and who was good coming up to the door.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you let the bad people in, you're going to have a fucking problem. So in a way, it's better not to let them in.
Yes.
And I actually think,
but sometimes you have to do a little bit of politics in it. is you give them a little squeeze, let them in.
Yeah, if as long as they behave themselves.
Yes, yeah. But like, because if you're in North London or that manor, and you've got all them young boys, and they're up and coming, and they want to make a name for themselves, and they're queuing up, and if you go to them, you ain't coming, you coming. And I've seen it. We've had drive-bys at Paradise where someone's shot into right front, and that's how it was getting. So what you do, you go, look, come in, boys. I'll let about 3 or 4 of you in for nothing. The others have to pay. You got to be searched like that. I ain't bothered about what you got in your pockets and take like that if it's Percy. And then give him, and then when you give them that and you show them a bit of respect, they go, oh yeah, and they come in and they can behave. But when you get the attitude, as I used to say to Dorman, like, don't give it attitude because you're on steroids and someone's that big and think that they're a, you know what I mean? Because they'll come
like
back and go, boom, yeah, in the back of the canister. Do you know what I mean? And you know that.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, that Paradise Club, I mean, what a fucking gaff that was.
First
It
24
at
hour
9 in the
club.
morning, didn't it?
First 24-hour club in London, licensed, because it was a gay club, wasn't it? And then
I didn't know that.
it was started off as a gay club. It had all different things, and then all of a sudden, like they decided because about 3 levels, and it was 24 hours. It went on like it had the license, but we'd go through. Like, you'd have your normal like night, people leaving 3, 4 in the morning. Then you'd have someone come from all the other clubs, and that was the worst time, like 3, 4, turning up at 6 o'clock to go through the day bit on a Sunday.
Mad.
And you're working there for like 14 hours, and you're like that, and your fucking eyes are going round, and then you've got to drive all the way back to Essex, and I'll be like that. It's fucking crazy. But everybody did it though.
Yeah. I thought it was brilliant. I mean, that club was always good. Your story was always good.
Well done,
Breakfast
wasn't
Club.
it? That's it. That
Yeah,
came from
Jay and
and
Chris used to do it.
Yeah.
Because we used to work for them, giving out flyers and selling tickets. But
They
Jay,
did some big events though, didn't
Yeah,
they? In the
yeah.
day, in Kent, didn't they? What's
Lid
the
Airport.
airfield?
Lid Airport.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because we used to send security down there for them and that.
well, I actually went there for.
I never ever went to none of them
I only
because
went
I was
one.
always working. You know what I mean?
Right. And you know, when you was doing the doors, I mean, there must be. What is the maddest fucking violence you saw when you was on the door? I know you've talked about different things in the past, but there must have been a night where you've just gone fucking hell.
When the old shooters come out and started going off, yeah, being shot at, my car being shot at, you know what I mean? People getting stabbed and everything else, you know, yeah. And then I thought, wow, I'm just doing too much coke, too much steroids, and I'm standing there going, come on, you cunts, kill me, like that, at me fucking nut, because I'd finished at Paradise.
Right.
I'd finished the Paradise about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, then go down and do Battersea, the barge, or another event. We finished one club, and if you didn't go to an after party, fucking work all night, and then go to another, and then carry on and work through the day stuff.
Was you?
And
Did you?
then it went right until the Monday clubs, didn't it?
The Fog and Night gown.
I never went there because I told them, don't go Fog and Night down because you know the old Kent Road. Like you just, got into Brentwood, like back where I live, all the way from there, drive all the way back, just get indoors, about 2, whatever time in the morning, see my kids rise. Well, that's the only time I ever see them, like that. And then go, like that, and then crash it. And all of a sudden I'll be like that. And I've just done 2 day shifts, and then all of a sudden the phone will go, someone's stuck in the Fog and Night again. Silly bollocks Sid was there, wasn't he?
Right.
He's partying, and he's going, I'm stuck, there's all these geezers around me. I went, told ya, when we all go home together. Don't drift off, because don't forget, when you're running doors and you're not
You can't put
people
yourself
back
on
all
offer.
weekend and you've been there, and then you want to carry on with being the party, 24-hour party person, and you go, you're going off the manor, and you can't, you're coming out of your safe zone. So I've had to ring people up, get them out of bed, to drive them to the fucking night down and drag them out, and because there are people waiting outside to do them.
But I think the problem with that Fog and Night gown place was it was like literally all the wrong uns like gathered there, didn't they? And they was all out of their nuts.
Yeah, and all lunatics, all tooled up with shooters and knives and
it was
everything.
just like fucking hell. I mean, I only went once, and I went with Dave Courtney, and I did walk in there, and I did think
They always said to me, come down. And I went, I've just worked all weekend, like, you know what I mean? I've not seen my kids grow up anyway, do you know what I mean? Like, so I've got to get home at least have like a few hours.
I've done the Gas Club on Sunday, but I can't do Monday as well.
The Gas Club, that was
That was Andy, wasn't it?
Sunday night, yeah. Good. But
wicked.
that was when we'd worked all weekend. We'd go Cafe de Paris, Gary's, who I grew up with. That was our social night out. And they go, that'd finish, and then we'd all go at 12 o'clock round to the gas club, and that's where a gathering of all the nutty doormen, South African, everyone all over London was in there, like all carrying blades and doing mad things.
When I was doing a bit of stuff with Andy then, and he swallowed, and obviously that was his night, and it always made me laugh because you walked in there and it was just literally like full of geezers, wasn't it? But nice birds, but the geezers all looked like fucking.
They were. They were in cases.
Yeah,
because John O'Brien,
he's
who's
great,
funny,
John,
I love John. Yeah, I still speak to him. So.
Is he in Tenerife with Andy as well?
No, he does his own thing. Yeah,
okay. I didn't know if he was out there as well.
He sort of like stopped 2 years ago. But John, when West Ham started off, for like when you become up and you make your name at the football and that, because Andy was younger than me, and my sister Andy went to school with my sister,
right?
And I found out when they done Underdog that he was going out with her, and she never told me. So as soon as I've done the filming, I rang my sister. I went, "What the fuck? You always told me he was your mate." And when every time he had a bit of egg round break to school or whatever, because they went to school again, and they was one of her first boyfriends.
Right.
And I went, so she went, "Oh, I didn't want to tell you because I knew you'd do the bollocks."
Right. Do you know what? I'm glad that film got made because I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some good people in it.
Yes.
Irvine Welsh was in it. Obviously, he was in it.
Yeah.
I was in it. Cass was in it.
Yeah, there was because
Bill Gardner.
Me and Cass, and there was a lot of politics and same thing. Fallouts, people ain't speaking to Cass and Andy hadn't spoke, and there was all the silly things had gone on. And you know what? And it was another thing, and I said to when they approached us, and I went, it was another thing, and I said to Cass, let's just put it all to bed. Forget the past, the fallouts, all the little things, and it's very similar. Like I said, Bill's 70, he's a legend. You know what I mean? And I said, Bill didn't want to do it. And I said, tell Bill, what about if the three of us do it together? And that's why Bill done it and Cass. And I talked him into it. And we went along because it's a bit of, there's a bit of history there, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's not just that, it's the rave, all the scene, everything. And that's how we grew up in the East End. So it was nice that it did come about and everything at the end of the day. So it's another thing. Like, as you get older, you analyse, and I thought, no, let's do it. Because you're not just, yes, Andy's got a story, but there's also the story behind Andy is, there was people like Bill in the background. I wouldn't have been the person I weren't for Bill. Me and Cass were 14, both the same age. And we went under, Bill, we wrapped ourselves around Bill because Bill allowed it. Do you know what I mean? And if you got that pass at 16, 17 and he accepted you, you was with the big boys.
Right.
But you had to prove yourself. Do you know what I mean? And
well, I mean,
I'm sorry about John O'Brien, the gas club. So I'd go down there because I've known John when he was 14. Right. He was like my apprentice. He'd come on the train with me, sit with me, he'd have his lunchbox with his aunt and mate or whatever, and I'd nick his sandwiches and sit there. And wherever I went football, he was one of my young ones, if you know what I mean. So he was like a really close relationship with him. Yeah. So when I go down there, I'd walk in with 20 doormen, like from the Paradise. They were all like pit bulls and everything, you know what I mean, all sorts, you know what I mean, and they were monsters. So he'd go, come down. He went, the manager went, you've just walked in. And he went, you got blade on you. I know you lot carry it. I went, so he went, just leave me the blade, right? He said, and I'll give it to you at the end of the night. So I pulled the blade out and I put it on the fucking desk. Right. And then like 6 o'clock in the morning, I go, can I have my blade back, John? But all my lot would add blades like that on them, so I was all right anyway. But it's just me they used to take, quite funny, really.
But a lot of people that won't know, but the Inner City firm was obviously integrated in the rave scene from Genesis days, from doing the doors, from Andy obviously doing his stuff, and there was the drugs, there was the there was all the stuff that was going on in Europe. Yeah. I mean, it was such a big organisation back then.
Well, the thing is, when Genesis, their first couple of raves, like they smashing it. There was Tony Coulson used to be part of them, Sunrise, and they just like straight away they perfected it. They got in the biggest and they were pulling up for 3, 4, 5, and then they come to us. Wayne, one of the promoters with Andrew and all them. He come. His stepdad was Colin, and we were doing the Stairs nightclub in Whitechapel Road, the old Nashville. So we were all on the door there. So Colin got us the door there. So he come up to us and went, "Your stepson is promoting and they're getting lent on."
Right.
Like that. He said, "Can you like put a fucking team together?" Said to me and all that. So I thought, well, we're fucking like, what about all the West Ham boys?
Right, ladies and gents, let's talk about something that we all need after a long day. Relaxation, R&R. And that's where our sponsor, Insignia, comes in. These guys are offering the full works. I'm talking indoor saunas, body dryers. They've got outdoor saunas. Turn your garden into a luxury retreat. They've also got steam showers and steam rooms. And I'm talking about spa-level steam therapy right in your own home. They've also got ice baths for the brave and the bold. And they've got loads more, from aromatherapy to chromotherapy and all the latest wellness tech. Bottom line, if you want luxury, recovery and total relaxation, you only need to know one name, and that's Insignia. The team have given the Criminal Connection podcast crew your very own special code. Head over to insigniashowers.com or click on the link below and use the code Terry200, where you can receive £200 off any sauna. The Podfather's on the Insignia wellness journey, so don't be a mug and join me too. Take care of your body, clear your mind, and make it Insignia.
Mac Thomas, Johnny Butler.
That should sort it out.
Yeah. So we just got like, there was about 12, 13 of us, and just like, and we were basically at the height of the ICF days, we were all going away, games, fighting. So for us, it was we thought, oh, it's another round. And we ain't got to wear a dicky bow anymore. We can wear our
Bomber jacket.
Yeah, bomber jacket, jeans, Dr. Mark, whatever you want, Caterpillar. And then like, we was going from 50, 60 quid a night, which was good money in them days, 30 odd years ago.
Yeah.
And then we was going, so we sat down, they went, right, if you look after us, protect us, like we'll have 2/3. We'll give you 1/3 of the takings at any rave, and you split that up equal amongst yourselves. And that's what we did. So we went from like sort of 50, 60 quid a night to fucking £500.
Right, and that's proper dough then.
Fucking unbelievable. Like, you know, and out of our nut.
Right.
No, it weren't at the beginning. When I first started doing it,
Right.
I was anti-drugs because I didn't even drink alcohol. I just used to smoke, but I was...
Well, you
did
lived in the
martial
gym,
arts.
weren't you? I mean,
I was always in the gym. I played football. I did kickboxing, and I was just like that was my thing. That was my adrenaline. I loved the rap, but my drug was the raring. But then I went into drugs or the drink, and then all of a sudden there I was, the scene what we done.
Right.
There was me, and it was Sid like that, and
Right.
just standing there, and someone give me try one of these, and it's a Cali. We don't do a full one, just have half. And I've done it, and obviously that scene, and I'm standing there, and I went, looked up at him smiling, like, and I went, fucking love you like a brother. And that's where it come from. And he just started from that. Everybody was going, I love you. And people walking the door go, fucking love you. Like, and he's supposed to be a doorman. Right. And then when I got to the Paradise, he got a little bit more heavier, but we were still getting nutted. But then we started doing loads of coke to keep us going. And everyone was like 18, 20 stone of steroids and that. You know what I mean? Nothing was working there. We'd go in the toilets, do a couple of lines, and fucking jab a fucking load of fucking sustenance on it into us as well. Don't know why he was doing it till.
Wow.
I was just mad and just like that.
Do you know when they was doing that there was that dance, the Running Man? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Was that what you was all doing? Yeah, it's fucking all like
fucking crazy. But you know.
But you know, and obviously in the club scene, like obviously you're doing all these things and all these different things are going on. When did you first kind of come into contact with Tony? Was it working on the door?
No. Well, we grew up in the same area. Tony was a bit older than me.
Right.
He went to Sandringham, which was comprehensive school.
Right.
I went to Stratford Grammar because I passed with 11 plus in Forest Gate. He's both Forest Gate boys.
Right.
He was a little older. But I always know the name. You know when you're growing up and you hear this name, Tony Tucker, because it's one of them names, isn't it? Tony Tucker.
Well, it rolls off the tongue, right?
Yeah, and it's like Tommy Tucker, you know, like
right.
And I remember because you know when like you're a kid and all that, and you hear about certain things because he was a bit older and he was a little bit tasty. He was a pro footballer. It was Leighton Orient and everything, right. And he went to school there, and I never bumped into him, but I knew of him,
right?
Because he was. Like when you're at school, someone that is a year, 2 years, he's like a grown man.
Oh yeah, it's like a different thing,
different level, isn't it? It's like fucking hell. Look at him. They're in the 5th year, and you're in the 3rd. And you walk past them and go, like, you think they're superstars, and that's the name I heard. And years and years later, I heard the name on the scene because obviously the door worked and all that. And obviously he moved to Essex. And then we was in the country club. And that was another thing, jungle and all
place.
that. But the swimming pool days around the pool when they used to play music. So I was with all my lot, walked in there all fucking like that. And he was with all these dorm on the other side. And then they're all standing over there and we're all standing the other side of the pool, like, you know, dropping pills and dancing and where. So we're looking over, you know, and he had long hair and I went, no, who's that? I was like, who's that over there? He went, no, that's Johnny Tucker. Don't you know him? I went, I've heard the name.
Did you say he looks like the fucking honey monster?
Yeah. So I went, there's no. So he went, I'll introduce you. And I thought, no, I don't know. Like, it makes me like, oh, we were like, so I was going to be a little bit, you know.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, do you want me to introduce you? I thought, no, fuck off. Right. Let him ask to introduce. Anyway, we sort of looked at each other, smiled, and sort of started, we done the courtesy thing. Anyway, we ended up talking because we all were buzzing, and then we started laughing, and we clicked like that. We were just crying. He's got that sense of humor. Like, you know, like sense of, we know we like, you know, Adam, you and all that. Everyone's laughing and joking, piss taking, and it started off like that. So then we've gone to an after party in fucking Hackney, this nutty like warehouse, like on a Monday morning, right? We were in there, and there was an old stage there. It was all falling apart and everything. So we were all we're standing on the stage bit at the back, so we're just dropping them and laughing and joking. So I did the martial arts thing, right? So I could do the splits. That was my thing. I could jump at me, touch my toes, come down and do the spin.
You never see. This is a Criminal Connection exclusive that Carlton Leach could do the full on Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, I used to better jump up, touch my toes, come down and do the splits and land on the floor. So that was my party piece, right? Even though I was all...
You still do that now?
I can't even put my leg on the stool. So you're going to cry. So he's there and all that, and I was doing all these like moves on the stage bit. So I was looking up, and I thought, like, yeah, shall I do it? And he was like singing like that, and I just thought, so I've jumped up to touch me down. My head went through the ceiling, right? So all the ceilings come down. You imagine a shitty old plane. I'm covered in fucking plaster. It hit the floor, and everyone's looking at me. I've just carried on dancing, trying to. He's fucking crying, right? He said, he come up, he went, you funny. I said, I didn't do it on purpose, though. He went, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. And he couldn't stop crying, and he just ripped the life out of me. And we started meeting up, doing things like going out, and then sort of like the Wandsworth and all like, and we just sort of intermingled. And then with the security, I needed a security company, and he had his weeder shop because obviously we were bodybuilding, and all of them sat there. You come down my shop, I'll sort you out. And then he opened the office up at the back, and we started opening companies up. So because when the Paradise and everything, you had to start. That was when you had to invoice for when you come in. All the laws changed and everything. This is 4 badges, but they wanted like VAT, like and all that. So because everyone was just money in hand and all that. So and then it just built up from there, and we just spent more and more time together and just had a laugh. And if there was something he needed, I could get for him or vice versa. But he was basically Essex was his manor, but because he went out and lived that way, and obviously. I'm East London, but most of them, like you, it was all the rave scene, wasn't it? Wherever the rave scene.
I mean, the reason I wanted to know this is because when you look at obviously your book, and when you look at the film Rise of the Footsoldier, and you know anything you've talked about online or anything I've talked about online, I think one of the things that the public are fascinated in is because obviously when you're making a film or you're writing a story. You have to be like, he's with him, he's with them. But when you met Tony, was he around Craig Rolfe and
Craig was with him.
Right. So Craig was his. So Craig was how he's portrayed in the film, they were together like
all the time. Yeah, and Pat was inside.
Right.
So me and Tony had. He kept saying about Pat Tate. He's a basic boy. Like I'm not putting him down because he was a fucking machine, right? Whatever. But he was well known in that area.
Right.
Like Southend, sort of Basel and all that, like, and he was in prison. Right. And Tony went to me, yo, you got to meet my mate Pat when he comes out. Pat Tate. And he went, do you know him? I went, I've never heard of him. And I swear, I'm not lying. I never knew who Pat Tate was. All my connections were the East End going into West, if you know what I mean. Our circles, like friends, like they're the people I know. So I just thought, Yeah, no, I don't know him. Anyway, he went like, he said he's coming out, he comes out, like, we're gonna, like, he was coming out of prison. So anyway, Tony set up, we all went down the country club, the Jungle, and then like he come out, I got introduced to him and everything. And then all of a sudden, things changed. But it was always Craig. Craig is with Tony.
Would you say that Pat Tate was a bad influence? He basically,
Right.
or do you think they was all bad influences because they was all out?
Yeah,
of it?
yeah. In the end, they was all feeding off each other due to the drugs. I mean, like what I see with my eyes was unbelievable, and it just, I went, wow, you know what I mean? But that's their choice. But they're grown men. But for Tony, who's never smoked, a keep fitness fanatic, and he trained and he was fit, always running, like box training, and the weights, and because we used to train. But to see him, like, he never touched a fag in his life. And then I went round there when I found out, and he was doing the pipe.
Right.
And he started coughing and everything. And I said, what's the matter with you? Because like that's what we talked. Like there was no like thing between us.
He got a chest infection.
And he go like, and he used to sweat and all that. And he got on the Nubain when all the bodybuilders were doing Nubain, which is morphine, and injecting that. And then I found out, I didn't know, he would never admit to me, because I used to say to him, what's the matter with you? He's like he had the flu. You know, when someone's sweating and he's just changed. And I think they were bad. They all fed off each other. Like, because Craig was heavy on it anyway.
Right.
He was a heavy duty. Tony weren't. But then when Tony started injecting Nubain, because I remember when it come out, we was in the weeder shop and he went to me, oh, you got to do this new thing. Nubain. I went, what the fuck's that? Is it a steroid? He went, no. And I went, I'll do the steroids. I was injecting steroids, but I had me limits. And I thought, unless I knew, I went, what is it then? Why are you taking it? If it don't make you bigger, what it does, it kills the pain so you can push more weight. And then you get bigger. So I said, what does, he went, I'll try it. I went, no, I don't want to try it. So I looked it up, found out it's morphine based. It's like, you know, you get car crashes when people have to be cut out of cars. And
that's what they give them.
They inject them with that. They don't feel no pain. So when your limbs, all your bones are snapped and everything else, it's that strong. But they were injecting it, mainline, and then training after to get in the gym. So when they're pushing and any pain, but they were causing more injuries than anything. So, but it was so addictive. Everybody I knew and see take it ended up being addicted to drugs because of that, because it's morphine.
Just got hold of you.
Yeah. Terrible. But them being together, I just, at first, it was all good. He come out, he had a bit of dough, Pat, a few things and all that. Then things just got silly. It was like, you know, like Tony's not one person who looked up to anybody. Never liked a lot of people. He was a funny man. Like, he'd go to me, I don't trust him, Cole. He always had me back and go, see him, he ain't your friend. And he was one, he never liked a lot of people. Really didn't. He was very choosy how he was, in particular. And particularly in his lifestyle, the way he lived, everything. And he was very cautious. That all went out the window. And he never really done the coke. He just liked to pill. That was his release. Like he would. Everyone said, back on the child. He never really did it. That came later, but he never sniffed it. He wasn't a sniffer.
He was a smoker.
No, he injected it.
Right.
Because that's what Craig used to do. He used to mix it with water.
Oh, that's right, because that gets you high, doesn't it?
Yeah, they used to put Nubain, coke, and anything else in it, and he injected it all the time. Because I remember Anna one day, she rang me up screaming, because I lived Brentwood and he was in Trafford 100, his house. She went, he won't go to hospital. She was crying. I went, what's the matter? And I went, what? She went, like, you know, green pins, the old steroids, long ones like that. He's mainstream that, and it snapped because he couldn't get the vein. This is how bad he got. It's broken his arm. So that snapped off. She said it's blood squirting everywhere. I went, so I've just jumped in the car about 120 miles an hour, flew all the way to fucking Trafford 100, got to his house. I went, what are you doing? And he's squirting out, like, it was squirting. It was on the mantelpiece on the floor because he was in the main. So I grabbed it and I went to him, Anna. I said, Tone, you've got to go to hospital to take it out because he didn't want people to know.
Right.
And I talked to him and they had to get the pin out of his thing. But it was lodged and it was pissing out like, you know when you see it's like film and things like that's and things was going on and the secretivity and like wanting to do this and do that. And that was my thing. I always did my own thing away from him.
Right.
That's what I always said. My thing with Tony was more the friendship.
Right.
But yes, we did work together, do security, we did do things together.
But that I mean, for somebody who takes steroids or drugs, when you actually did that.
But the nice thing about talking like this is if there's youngsters out there listening and people who just got into drugs and want to emulate the likes of them, this is a great point to say to them out there, like, this is what happens to you when you do shit like that.
And it gets over you.
You know that. It's all having, you know, a bit of thing, a bit of that, having a nice night, having a laugh, and then going home, going to bed and being normal. When you're up for days and you're hardcore, you know, like he was buying an ounce a day when he was alive, Pat, and like on piping it and everything, you know what I mean?
I mean, but when you've actually tried to inject yourself and it snapped off in your arm,
yeah,
something in your head must go. I've got a problem.
It didn't. When I took him to Malta, right, he was in such a bad way, and I was trying to get him to like come off and go in rehab, and he wouldn't do it. And he I'm all right, and because he's a proud man, and you couldn't tell Tony nothing. So we went right. We booked an holiday to Malta. There was me, my mistress time, Lynn, and Anna and him. The four of us went away. We were holidaying. I said no drugs, nothing. We just go out there, right? Have a week off, Tone. Just don't touch a thing, do anything. I said, like, detox. I know you're going to feel shit. I said, Jim, we'll just have a drink. And his mum and dad were out there. Like, so they were out on holiday. So we met up with them at a restaurant. They were a lovely old couple. Which I've told you the stories about them because you played him. Right. And then he was as good as gold, right? And I thought, yeah, he had the old thing, plasters on, and we was doing it. And I thought he was laughing. He got his... You know, you get your sparkle back.
Right.
I thought I got my old mucker back, yeah?
Right.
And we were laughing, joking, and he f***ing about and taking a piss out of each other and just like round the pool and everything. And we stayed in the holiday and it was fucking a real lovely week. Right. Just us being with my mate. No one else, no distractions. Gets back. I said, like, how you getting home? I had the car at the airport. And he went, oh, Craig's picking me up. I went.
Back on it then.
Ding. He's come up, Craig's went in, and he went about that, boom, they've disappeared in the toilet. In the airport.
Right.
Gone through customs, straight into the car, he's jacked up. So that moment told me I've lost my mate.
You know. And when you look at the other characters around, Brian Rolfe, obviously he's become very vocal lately, hasn't he? From his shed.
It's crazy. He's, you know, like all of a sudden, never met him in my life. Craig never ever spoke about his brother.
Because he was like, because he popped up and he was doing this, doing that. And he actually contacted me and he was like, I'm going to tell you the truth about Carlton. I'm going to tell you the truth about the Essex Boys. And then someone said to me that his own brother obviously tried to kill him with a drugs over. I mean, is this true or not? I mean,
I was with Craig as long as I was with Tony and like in that friendship, that circle, right? Craig never once spoke about having a brother.
Right.
His brother was Tony. Tony was his big brother.
Right.
There's no one else in his life, family-wise. Tony was his family. Trust me. He got him a mortgage, helped him with an house. Like, he relied on Tony, and Tony knew he relied on him, you know, and Tony could be a little bit ruthless. He was a ruthless businessman. That's why he had money. You know, best businessman I ever met.
Right.
Ruthless as but when everything went Pete Tong and the drugs overtook, he lost that edge and became desperate. And that's why they ended up where they was.
Right.
But I see that and I step back. But it's a mad thing, really, because, like, when you have the epiphanies and you sit back years later and like, when you get off the train, like, you know, like Dave's old saying, when you get off the ride and all that,
right.
And then you sit back and you have them moments, and you've got to be on your own when you do that, Till. Like you sit in your house, you've got your family, your kids, You're not going out every single night of the week. You're not doing this, not being pulled. And you sit there and you're like, there might be enough shit to tell you. And you just have that little moment and you close your eyes and things come back to you. And that's, I think as I got older, that's what happened. Like, instead of talking about the one thing all the time, the violence and the same stories, and it became, and I don't even do audiences now because it's so fucking monotonous. It's like Groundhog Day.
I suppose it's the question is going to be, how many people did you do on the terraces?
How many people have you killed?
Right.
Yeah, as if I'm going to tell you, mate.
I'll give you the names of the addresses.
Yeah. Who's there? Have you ever had a fight? What would you do if you had a straightener with Mike Tyson in his day? Things like no. Do you know what? And
He would have won.
Yeah, how many people shot? Like fucking, and then you just take the piss out of them. And then they can sit there going, you end up talking bollocks because they make you talk bollocks. And I get what when you got people talking bollocks and you're interviewing, it brings it out in you to take the piss in a roundabout way. And it's the same thing with me when I'm on stage. When people start talking bollocks and you're listening to their stories and they go to you, blah, blah, you end up going along with it and sort of playing it up, don't you?
One of the other things I wanted to ask you about, obviously you're with Tony doing the doors, and like you said, Pat was in jail and Craig was around. When did Nigel Benn kind of come into the mix?
Well, I grew up with Danny Benn, his older brother.
He was a doorman, wasn't he?
Yeah, good doorman he was, Danny. Could have a tear up. Yeah, he was hard to know. And I sort of knew the Benn family. They man apart, I was East End. But me and Danny trained in Wag Bennett's Forest Gate, where Arnold Schwarzenegger trained, and they adopted him and they sponsored him, went to become Mr. Universe. Right. And I see him one day, another story, there was an old house, big, massive Victorian house. They built a gym on the side and all this, and it had little doorways. So the old rooms were like different things, and it was all handmade weights, and it was proper spit and sawdust, like rusty dumbbells and dumbbells like that. And you get all the top bodybuilders in there and all that. Right. Anyway, and I used to go to school with Jane Bennett. I'm not getting off the story, but anyway, they idolised, and they had a gym they built it next door, like the Wag Bennett. And when you went upstairs, because I used to go to school with her, I used to go upstairs in the house after school, and there was pictures of Arnold everywhere, because they were he was like a son to them, and they sponsored him, and they made him the bodybuilder he was. Right. And then he had this little door, a bit smaller than that door over there, and I see this clips walk past, this monster. And I was in the other training, and I looked at myself, I dropped the weights. I thought like that. I thought, I'll stick to table tennis or something. I see this geezer, like a man-manning, and I'm talking about, he'd look, to me, at 16, 17, he was as wide as that table. It was like, because you're looking at, like the school kid thing, and he was like, he walked past and see him walk through, and it was him, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Unbelievable.
Did he say, "I'll be back"?
Yeah.
I mean, he's fucking great, I mean, because he won that, and then he went, I'm going to be an actor. Then he became like a movie star.
Conan the Barbarian.
I mean, and then he became the fucking, the senator of fucking California. Yeah. I mean, it's mad, isn't it?
But his first ever film was Conan the Barbarian, wasn't it? I mean, he Pumping Iron was about him, a documentary film about him training, but he was unbelievable.
Was he the senator of California?
Yeah,
or was he
senator?
Or was he the, because they
he became senator.
Yeah,
he was actually,
I remember that.
Office.
I mean, he was running
Austrian.
Yeah.
Austrian American. Aye.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, but he did it. But when he made his, he done Pumping Iron, which was, everybody watched Pumping Iron. If you was trying, that was the film, that made him as famous as being Mr. Universe, because, I mean, he was immense, you know what I mean? And then when I think he made it, took it from that level to that level. A bit like, like the rave scene, where it was the warehouses and it started off acid house. And now, look how big it is. The house music, all the different versions. And it's gone from that to worldwide. It's one of the biggest music things in the world, isn't it? So it's the same thing. And he did that. He spring that. So, and then when he done his first acting role, was obviously Conan Barbarian. He was still a bodybuilder then. He was still in shows, wasn't he? He had that sword, like that. Unbelievable. And so, and then he just went off but everything he'd done, he was successful.
And then because you knew the brother and they were at that gym, did you just remember Nigel from being like when he was?
Oh yes, sorry. I know we get waylaid. Yeah, so obviously like Danny and that, and we trained together. Danny was a bit younger than me, but he was powerful, and me and him trained for years. So when I got into the football scene and all that, and I started doing normal door work, the old Dickie Bow days and all that. Danny was. I was working in the room at the top, which became the Penthouse Suite, which is a famous place in Ilford. It was quite an upmarket place. So I was doing the door there. Danny's come down. He went, Nigel was in the army, and he was the army champion, and all that. And he just come out the army, left the army. And Danny brought him up there and he introduced me to him. It was years and years ago when he just come out. So, I didn't think 40 years ago. I was in my 20s. So, and then I was doing stairs, different clubs, and I see a pulse drive pull up and all that. And Nigel would jump out and go, hello, all right, come and talk to me and all that. And he spoke to me a few times about, Ambrose Mendy was his manager then. And then he spoke about security, if you ever want a bit of work, he was blind, never looked down his nose. He always remembered where he come from, and his family were amazing. His dad, Dixon, all his family. I knew all of them. They're a lovely, lovely family.
I mean, I don't know him obviously as well as you, but I've always found him to be a man of the people. You know what
yes.
I mean? He always talked to you, picture.
He's obsessed with, because of his army connection, the Northerners that up north, his following and his reputation is like the Geordies, because he was in certain regiments and all that. They loved him, the Northerners. When I go on tour with him, DJing all over the country. And the ex-squaddies that come and see him, because he's just he's a hero.
Was he DJing when he was fighting, or did that come?
Yes, yeah,
right, okay. Because I remember him DJing.
Well, he was not when he first started off boxing, but as he got
when
into
he became
it.
the champ, was it when he became the
when
champ?
he was world champion, he started doing the DJing and that, and then we were doing the tours. We've done Scotland, but I'd go on tours with him all over Scotland, and
because he was a fucking great DJ, wasn't he?
Brilliant, because he had a little DJ room in his mansion, and it'd be me and him and down there. Everyone said he'd done the sniff, and he never done the sniff.
Right.
Everyone said he was a cokehead. He wasn't a cokehead. He never tried it.
I mean, he looked. I think because he was DJing, he was all like, and all that. People probably thought, he's got to be on it.
I was just saying, he like everyone, he liked a spliff. That he never took drugs when he was training or anything. And if the days he weren't training, we went out, we went partying, and we'd have the odd pill and just dance all night long.
Right.
He would, but he wasn't that. Everyone going, he weren't that man, honestly. And I would have let him do it anyway, but because we had his back. So over the years, anyway, he knew me as Carlton, like that. But there was also black Carltons in London, security. So what happened? He asked. He got friendly with Tony. I don't think they met up legends, or they became quite pally and on the scene and all that. And I'd seen Nigel for years and everything. So he asked Tony to do his security, personal security. He said, do you fancy doing it? Because they got on really well together. They had some nights out and partying and all that. So he went to Tony, he said, so he asked one of his doormen, Luke didn't want to do it. So Tony went to me, do you fancy doing a bit of security for Nigel Benn? So I said, what, you doing it? And I didn't want to do it for him. And he went, yeah. He said, me and you. He said, we'll have a great time. He said, we'll go boxing, go Tenerife, he's trying to come. He said he wants me to get someone else. So I said, tell him Carlton, I'll do it. If you're doing it, Tony, I'll do it with you. So I said I've known him for years. Not before Tony did, before everybody, because, So anyway, he went, all right. So he said to me, I've got my mate Carlton. And he went, no, that's all right and all that. So we've all got together. We opened a gym up in London Road, down south end, it was shut now. And then Tony went home, and then I was going back to East London, I was in with Nigel in his car then. I think it was a big Merc thing or whatever it was. Anyway, you and me, do you know what, Cole? He said, all these years, all my life, all these years I've known you as Carlton, I always thought the Carlton that everyone spoke about, all the reputation and everything else, I thought it was another Carlton. I didn't realise. I just in the car, right? And I mean, if I didn't have to tell you that, I didn't want you to know me that. He went, I didn't know the Carlton, all the stories about this other Carlton, and the Carlton I know is the same person. And I mean, I suppose you thought I was black. So then he just started laughing, and we was in the car, and he went, I can't believe it. He said, you never ever told this. I mean, why should I? Why should I, you know?
I've got to say, there's an iconic picture of you, Tony, and Nigel in Tenerife.
Yeah.
In the shorts and the T-shirt.
Yeah.
And that's a great picture.
Yeah. I just come back from Spain and selling my place there, and the photo, there's, that one, the three of us together in the apartment when we were out
So when he was doing his training, would you run beside him or was you on a bike? I'd like to say a big thank you to our sponsors, HDB Services, the UK's #1 for fabric, construction and M&E maintenance. They are at the forefront of innovation in their field. Their services include static and mobile fabric support across a wide range of industries, including office, retail, industrial and high-end residential works. They have a reputation for their attention to detail, and their management team are always on hand to support their site teams every step of the way, ensuring 5-star customer service. HDB's fabric team are adept at delivering carpentry and joinery solutions, decoration, fire stopping, fire door installation and maintenance, all backed by British standard certifications and accreditations. HDB are one of the fastest growing maintenance teams in the UK, and if you're not using them in your buildings, you don't know what you're missing out on. HDB Service, the #1 fabric and maintenance service partner.
No. We go in the car and I drive it, the little BMW, drive up Man T. He'd run in front, and then because it was all the oxygen things and all that, and then me or Tony would drive or wherever, we'd go up there and sort of basically he's running and we'd just like about 10, 20 mile an hour, just follow him, get up to the top of the mountain where it started, and he'd do the mountain run. So, I mean, he didn't get me in the car, but we'd just drive behind so no one could hit him or whatever and just watch him and all that. And then he said to us, he went, why don't you just do a bit of running with us? I altitude running. No, I fucking don't run anyway. I was like 17, 8, you know what I mean? Flight of stairs, I was out of breath, you know what I mean? I looked like I was fit, but I weren't. So I just went, so anyway, he said, we'll do the downward one. It's easier. The road's going down than going up. I thought, well, yeah. So Tony done, because Tony used to run like more than running. So then Tony done it and all that. And then Tony went, and then Tony was leaning on the back of the boot of the 3 Series like that. And he was like that. He went, I come over light-headed and all that. Nigel's laughing, like fit, and he's got his thing round him. So he said, come on, your turn. And I remember running down the mountain with him, running alongside him. I thought, yeah. After about 50 yards, I was like, so like, I'm laying on the car.
Nigel, you fucking lied.
Yeah, he's laughing. And me and Tony go, well, I was more than Tony though. But yeah, we started doing that, and we do the weights and all that. And then he'd do all the sparring in the training camps, and then we'd jump in the ring because Tony done the boxing training. Then they fuck about doing a bit of pad work, and then they get me in, and then try and do pad work. Then I fucking, because I weren't no good really pad, so I've done my ribs in, and they're all taking a piss out of me. There's a photo of the 3 of us, and Tony's hitting me, and they're all laughing and grabbing. And that's what we did. We were there. It was like a bit of moral support. We never got paid. And Nigel will tell you that if you ever watch any of the things. The first fight when we done Manchester, the Eubank one, when we walked him out, 50,000 people. That was the first fight we walked him out.
We're mad.
And it was crazy because I'd never sort of I've looked after people, but to walk out from a space like as wide as this, from where the changing room tunnel, then going to the ring, which is in the middle of the pitch. So it went down to like a single thing. So we're each side of him because people want to touch him. Right. People want to grab him. Wow, Nigel, like that. Well, so, but it takes one person, not on purpose, their finger goes in his eye, the fight's off.
Right.
So anyone who's touching him, so you're getting the fingers in the eyes, clumps where people are trying to, they'll like grab his hat or touch him. Oh no, he's walking through. Like they don't realise that is as big as a moment as the fight getting to the ringside. That build up, and it seems like that 4 or 5 minutes seems like an hour. Because you've got thousands of people coming over the barrel, people trying to grab him, and then you've got to get him through the ringside bit, get him to the corner. It's just like, but totally amazing.
So when you look at Nigel Benn, I mean, I follow all his fights, but for me, that Ben Eubank rivalry, you know, and I really did want him to fucking smash Chris up, and I've got nothing against Chris.
And me. No, honestly.
And I actually wanted
I was
Conor
behind the scenes, and I was watching him, Eubank, walk past. You know, like, where Nigel would go say, Nigel was down to earth. Like, in his room, people could come in, say hello, wish him well. Like, if he was in the corridor where we was waiting to go out for the fight, with the chain, he'd go, hello, mate. He'd go, all right, how you doing? Eubank wouldn't do that. I don't know if he'd done that, but even beyond, in the ring, I thought, yeah, that's your act, just that thing. But he wouldn't even, like, we were past and we were with Nigel. He wouldn't go like, hello, how you doing, mate? He was like, he'd look at you like that as you walk past. Right. And you want to hit him yourself. It's like one of them ones and think, you like, Nigel hated him, like really detested him. You know
think
what I mean?
Connor and Chris Jr. Yeah. I mean, I want Connor to do, I'd be like Avengers.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, I like when they were born, and I was best man at the wedding of him, Caroline, and that, and then he had the twins and everything. I used to be around there all the time when they were first born. I used to hold Connor, and I've changed his bum, fed him and all that. And I remember laughing, making him. And Caroline said to me, she said, "You're the first person to get a proper smile out of him." I had him laughing, and he did say to me years ago about him in India, about being a godfather, but obviously we moved, things happened.
Well, he went to Australia, didn't he? I mean,
found
God and
religion and all that. Yeah, But listen, we had some we were like good mates, soulmates, you know, like did anything I could. I knew Caroline before he got with her. Right. I met her when she was about 34 at a rave. Wow. She was behind taking money. I think it was the library, Bow. And she was like, Colin, we go back to, she knew. So we knew the same. So she knew all our lot through the rave scene. She was only about 13, 14, but she used to do like on the can. And that's how, so we hit it off anyway. Right. And lovely people, and his family lovely. And I, you know, to be one of the best men at his wedding, he had the ring in his garden and everything else. And the times I've spent with him on my own in his house. He had, as I said, he had his little DJ room. We had all the decks. We'd go there on a Sunday. Then we'd go up aquarium afterwards. We'd have a little workout, have a few drinks and everything, jump in the car. Then we'd go to like aquarium and have a night out and all go clubbing together. Always, you know what I mean? Yeah. Just I've had some great times with him.
Yeah.
Great times.
He's a great guy. And,
he's great, good fun to be with and everything. Do you know what I mean?
And I think one of the most harrowing fights was obviously when he fought Gerald McClellan. I mean, that was...
I watched that a couple of weeks ago on my phone. Yeah.
I mean,
I just went on YouTube and I was just thinking about Nigel. You know, I've been having these moments because I thought, I've had a few illnesses and things like that I've been dealing with, and it's given me a little wake-up call. Got to change my lifestyle. That's what I do, circuit training every day. Right. I'm healthier. I've got my weight down.
You're not allowed to go out popping any pills or sniffing any gear. You can't, or drinking any alcohol.
I couldn't think of anything worse. I have a drink every now and again. I do detox things. I have like five weeks, no drink, nothing. The thing is, I couldn't. The thought of a pill makes me go but. If I was in company...
I was going to take you to Ibiza after this.
Yeah, thanks. That's obviously animals out there. But no, the thing is, when you're in them circles, it's the temptation. If I don't do like it now, but if I'm out and I'm with a crowd that are all doing it and they're all drinking and it comes out, I can't say no. So my thing is now, stay away from it.
Right.
Because it doesn't mean they're bad people, but you say when you mix with dogs, listen, a little bit, I might every now and again have a little go, because you just think, and then when I do, if I do, I might think, why did you do that? You're fucking in your 60s. Like, so, but I need to remind myself not to do it. And the way to do it is have a little dabble, and then when you feel shit, and I thought, why did I do that? Because I don't need it to make me laugh or joke. Like you've got a personality, we talk about, have a joke, and so... And it is, so everything's psychological. It's like steroids. When things get in your head, that's the addictive thing. The person is the addiction, not the drug.
And I suppose it's, you know, like you said, if you're around people, if you're around people in the gym and they're taking steroids,
you can't help it.
And they go, you should try this, and you look at them and you think, fucking hell, they're big. Yeah. And you go, well, maybe I'll have it. Same if you're out and you've had a few drinks, someone goes, oh, do you want a bit of that? And then,
you're pissed, and you think like you want to straighten yourself up a little bit.
And I think the problem with that thing is, you know, like you said, if you live that life for fucking 10, 20 years and then you go, right, I'm not doing that anymore, your mates still are. So you can't like not talk to your mates.
No.
But like
Totally
you said,
right.
you just got to be sort of. I see you in a day.
So what I would do you know how I deal with that? I'll go for a meal with them. Go out like 5, 6 o'clock, and then go back about 10:30, 11. Have a few drinks, drive so you don't get pissed, right? You know, unless it is a special occasion. Have a bit of food, have a giggle, and then go home.
I mean, that's actually good advice. I mean, my missus always jokes that I get the midnight itch because I start going,
yeah,
because I don't want to be out late. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like waking up in the
morning.
morning.
And I'm saying now, I'll sit there because it's not as you get older. Do you not think you get vulnerable?
I think as you're older, I think the problem when you're
but there's
you're
a
older,
vulnerability in there.
If you have a drink, right? If you have a bottle of wine,
yeah,
right, and you wake up the next day, you can't be bothered.
Do you know what? I've never drunk one, but because I thought I'd be all grown up, right, and start drinking bottles of wine and being all posh and everything,
right.
I've had the worst fucking hangovers in my life, right? My head goes boom, boom. I think, what the because I could drink a litre of vodka in the days when it was a bit of thing, but have a couple of bottles of Chardonnay and I think, oh, it's only wine. And my head's going, bang. I feel like there's a fucking full band. But that's it. That's what I'm saying to you. But I do think,
I suppose answering your question, I think it depends where you go.
Yes.
I think if you're putting yourself,
unless you're in the company of all couples and you're in a place where you know it's your environment, that you create that environment. But if you're sort of like, you're invited. Like when I go up north for like the last few years and do shows, I mean like the best place like Cheshire, and where Sir Alex Ferguson, the Maya Hotel, like the Maya and all that, do shows there, sold out, and they're all money, and then they're all going to me, come into Manchester, come on, we'll pay for another night, come on, we're going out partying. I've had a few beers, like I've done the show, I've drove 5 hours to get there, right, stuck in traffic. Always someone's book another night because I think by the time you're exhausted,
you want to have a chill out. Don't you?
So and then me and her can have a chill out, have a bit of food, and just have a normal day. But they want to drag you out, and I thought I'm going to go in the middle of Manchester Central in some fucking nightclub or bar, and they know all the people, they're all the top boys up there,
right?
And I'm on my own. I've got my missus with me, right? So and she's clued up. She's become a big fan from the East End, but I'm thinking, you are vulnerable, Till.
Well, the problem is, like you said, because people know that you
and they know you are, you've got the
again,
reputation.
Yeah, then it's like, we do something to him, and then we got a little
one idiot. And look at the sign of the times we live in now.
Yeah,
you got 14, 13-year-old kids stabbing grown-ups
to death.
Just to death. This is what I'm saying. So my reputation don't mean nothing in this day and age. I'm an old man.
But you know what? That's one thing that I've said this a few times on the podcast that. The problem, I think, with the world now is no respect anymore.
It's completely different.
And people don't give a fuck who you are, who you know. It's just like, like you said, you've got a kid who just goes like that. Yeah. And they don't care. If they go to jail, they probably think it's a great achievement.
Yeah, 3 meals a day, they're in the gym. Like, I mean, they're still doing drugs in the gym, in the Knicks. So, nuts on spice or whatever. But the thing is, I think we're the end of an era, our age. Coming up in the 60s, because we lived 30 years ago when the rave scene was at the height and when it all come out, when it was the early days.
We're basically the old didn't we?
Yeah, no, but it's died. But don't forget, we're all basically working class backgrounds, street boys, and we've all made our names, our reputations, our money on the street, ducking and diving, getting involved with promoting or doing whatever. And survived and made that thing. The kids today can't do that because that's like an apprenticeship of life.
Right.
We did that. These kids don't. They've got no one to do that for them. They think by being with a gang is their safety net. Being 20-handed and all carrying a machete. I mean, I've seen the videos of gangs of like 20 of them like running in with machetes. And they don't even know how to chop someone up. Right. They go like that, slapping them with it. And I'm thinking, if you're going to pull a knife out, use it. It's like if you pull a gun out, you've got to use it. A gun is not a thing. It's not a piece of jewellery. It's a dangerous weapon, right? That kills people. That takes people's lives, right? It's the same as a knife. So when you take that out, you've got to use it because you've now shown the public or the people in front of you, you've got that. You can't pull a knife out or pull a gun and go, oh, I forget it, so it was my mistake.
You got a lucky escape today.
Yeah, it don't work like that, Till.
Right.
And it's a dangerous thing. And you don't go out on the piss with a 9mm in your back pocket or a revolver. Right. It's not, if you're going out to enjoy yourself, if you're going to have a gun, you're not going out to enjoy yourself. You're going out to hurt someone.
Right.
That's how I look at that.
And I think it's considering that the UK is illegal to have a gun, it's mad how rife it is, and it's been like this since the late 80s. It's not like a new thing where
it just started up, late 80s and 90s, and it just got worse and worse. And now there's as many guns coming in this country as there is drugs, and everyone thinks they put a stop to it. They don't. If you can get illegal immigrants coming in on the back of a lorry, you can't tell me you can't get guns in, you can't get things.
I mean, that does shock me.
No, what I'm saying, anything that comes in illegal, I'm not digging that out, is if thousands and thousands of people are in this country and they've not been found and they get in this country, so thousands and thousands of guns can get in this country, thousands of keys of cocaine still coming in the country.
Do you know what? I can't get my head around that, how easy it is. Like, you'd think that with the modern technology, with the drones, with the Navy, with the police boats, that they should be out of control.
Everything.
It's not difficult, is it?
There's satellites where if Bin Laden was sitting in his house or whatever, they could use a satellite, the English, the Americans, they've all got them to Chinese and Russian, and pinpoint that person and bang, a drone kills them, stone dead. You can't find a boatload of people.
I don't know.
Or a boatload of guns or a lorry load of... It's do you know what it is? It's the politics where we're controlled in what we see, what we perceive, what we believe in. Do you know what I mean? Our lives are controlled. We're just pawns.
Right.
We live in a world of pawns. So if there's a bad guy who's got to take the fall,
I've always wanted to be a porn star.
Brawl. No, but what I'm saying, we are pawns. Is
right
when white collar people do stuff and
right.
Listen. More people have been killed by people that run our country by allowing it, going to war. We put throwing young people, soldiers, thousands and thousands. Them murders are on their hand because they've give that order.
Right.
But when them soldiers come out and they do something and someone gets hurt or something, they're the ones that have to go to prison to make an example of to the rest of the general public, the street people.
Right.
Or like Ronnie Reggie. They were left... Charlie, right? You know what I mean? Charles Bronson. He won't get out because they need to make an example. If you our system and we need to use you and show that you're going to die in prison, so that if we want to choose that, and that's the sort of thing that's coming up back with Johnny Robinson. It's scary.
Well, it's a pretty
brutal.
Yeah, I mean, it's for me. I mean, I get it because you think that if you're running the country and you want to stop this. It's like if they brought back hanging, right? And it's like if you go to the Middle East, you're still saying they chop your hand off, right?
Yeah.
You ain't going to steal anything unless you want to fucking walk around with no hands.
Yeah.
So I think obviously,
or if you go to Dubai and you get caught with a bit of puff on you that big, you get 2 years in prison.
Yeah.
For a bit of Percy.
I mean, they
make the rules.
But I honestly think that's where this country goes wrong. I think that they're not strict enough.
No.
And I think that, people go, "Oh, why are you saying this on a Criminal Connection podcast?" But I genuinely think that if you're serious about stopping these kids killing people and stabbing people and doing what they're doing, for me, it's like you've got to create opportunities for these kids. Otherwise, they're going to go down the wrong path.
And and everyone's on social media. All the kids are on social media. They're heroes on social media. All the gangsters and the bad boys and the heroes. Because I know, didn't show when you get 16, 17, 18-year-old kids wanting to come and meet you because you're this famous hooligan and you was like with the Essex, but they want to hear your story. Right. And they're looking up to you. That is not, I don't know, like, I get that because we all hero worship. I've got footballers who are hero worship. And the craze, everyone in our day, everyone was like the craze for your heroes.
Do you know what the mad thing is? Like, when you look at, gangsters, right? The real high profile ones, obviously, unless you don't know, right?
You won't never know.
But the irony for me is if you actually said to forget that anybody that's in their life, but just walk up to someone in the street and say, who are the most famous criminals in this country? They would probably say the craze in the Essex Boys, which is mad, right?
Yeah, of course.
And there's been 20 books, 20
but
films.
the thing is, like what you're saying about the Essex Boys, right? That was a name created by a certain person,
Right.
And it come from his first film. And I'm not even going to go down that way. But so the Essex Boys stuck.
Right.
They weren't a crowd of blokes who sat in a pub and like performing the band and go, yeah, I think we should call ourselves the Essex Boys. What do you reckon, Tom, Pat?
Wasn't because one thing I wanted to ask you, right, with that title, I always and I can't remember it clearly, but do you remember when when it happened and there was the picture on every front page of every paper of the Range Rover with the guys obviously dead in it? I thought it was called it because there was a film called The Essex Boys, wasn't there, with Sean Bean, which I didn't think was particularly
which Burnham wrote the book, didn't he?
But that was that.
Yeah, Essex Boys. It was his book.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
I didn't even know
he
that.
wrote the book straight away when they died. Within weeks, he got it out there. Everyone was like this with the public and everything, and the film come out, and Sean Bean was in it. Like he played, but that's where it come from. So that film with all that, it stuck.
I didn't know that.
That's where it come from. So by the time the press had got hold of it.
It was Essex Boys.
Everyone was going Essex Boys, because the film had already been out. Like, if you know what I mean, the film was out.
I think it was 2000? It came out quite early, didn't it?
It was near enough. Well, it was in the making as soon as they died. If you know what I mean. Wow. But the thing is, they wasn't a big underworld villainy, and they run Essex.
Right.
Do you know how big Essex is?
Yes.
It's that much of the country, right? The southeast. They. On their manor, they would, top dogs or Southend or whatever. Like that. There's thousands more old men out there, more dangerous and more evil and more connected than them.
I mean, one of the things that always made me laugh when the first Rise of the Footsoldier came out was people used to go at me, why have you made this film? It's glamorising drugs, it's glamorising crime, and I'm like, how the is that glamorising anything? I said, the guys end up getting killed in a fucking Range Rover. I said, if anything, that's don't fucking do drugs.
Thing,
don't do it. You know what I mean?
Your best mate. We did that scene, when the phone call and smashing the tape, like that's how it was. But I think people, as time's gone on, and don't forget, we started off how these people became them people.
Right.
Like where I become this young kid on the services at 16, took under the wing, which we did, and then coming through the ranks and then becoming a doorman. We went through the stages that take you to the doors that open that take you into that world.
Right. The other thing I was going to ask you about with regards to Nigel was there was a famous incident at Legends. With Rolex Ray. Was you there?
No.
Right, okay, because I remember...
No, I wasn't with him that night, because he went out to wet the baby's head, and he went up there, and I would have normally been with him, because Caroline went, why didn't you take Carlton with you, blah, 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 and all that. Now, I knew Rolex and Nigel were like best mates.
Well,
I got really well with Ray and everything, do you know what I mean? But he was
for anyone who doesn't know, he was the man for tickets, right?
Yeah, the tickets out. Oh, well, listen, anything. And he had the Rolexes that no one else had in the world.
He wouldn't be wearing them now.
No. And they were like sundials. That big.
But I used to call him Rolex Ray, didn't they?
Because of his watches. And he had like watches that you would never see, like not your basic Rolex. They were like sundials, if you know what I mean.
Right.
And so everyone always had a Rolex. So everyone, it just, like a nickname, went Rolex Ray, you know what I mean?
Right.
So they fell out, something that went out, and years ago, it come up. Anyway, it happened, and what you going to ask anyway?
No, it was just the only reason I was going to ask is because they were so close. I know they was in
with Nigel's ex-wife,
right? Because they was in Legends, weren't they?
He didn't know that Ray fancied his ex-wife Sharon, his first wife, right? This is what Nigel told me, and they were all out together, drinking, partying in Legends, and everything else, and. I don't know why Ray done it. He said that he fancied Sharon, always fancied her.
That's always a good thing to say to a boxing champion, isn't it, when he's had a few drinks.
Well, he's still world champion then.
Wow.
Yeah. This was before the Steve Collins fight, the first Steve Collins fight. It's because I went up there to Manchester. So what I said is, why bring it up all them years later? Like, Nigel's remarried, he's happy. Right. He's got his new life. He's just had his twins with Caroline. So what's happened? He said this, bam, 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 broke. So Nigel now thought, but you was my best mate, and I don't know if he said something happened between them. It was something to do with Sharon. I don't know whether. And Ray decided to open up and tell Nigel, and Nigel just went crash.
Right. Because
Silly move, isn't it?
Well, he had 105 stitches. I mean, it was fucking
It
crazy.
weren't as much as that.
That's what it said in the papers.
No,
but
he set it all up. It was a news thing with the Sun.
Because I was
they done the thing with the Sun front page. He tried to do a civil thing. I know the full story.
Right.
He never had that many.
So it was all bollocks, basically. Never believe what you read in the paper.
He set the picture up. He had it photographed in the bed with all the tubes and everything else.
Right.
He never had Nigel knit, and he made it like all his face was hanging off. And
because I think he said
and then what he done, he wanted to do a civil action
Right.
and sue Nigel. Right, Nigel went bollocks, I ain't paying you. So because he done a civil action, the police, the papers, and everything, the police investigated it and charged Nigel with GBH with intent. And then he had to go along with it because he'd already sold his story to the Sun,
right,
to make Nigel out to be the bad man that he never done. So it was all.
Because I remember, I'm pretty sure, and I'm doing this from memory, but it was like he had 105 stitches and Nigel hit him with an ashtray. And I thought, Nigel wouldn't have hit him with an ashtray. He'd just hit him, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
But that was it, fucking front page.
Yeah.
And it was just
it was
like,
that big.
It was like, man, it was like.
It was one, the old ones you have in the ends with the spinning ones, like a barbell. No, but there's a lot more to that, but it's not for me to discuss in public
fine.
because
fine.
It's.
But look,
look, Ray never done me no harm. He's out there, and people. I don't want him to sit here like me going.
Do you know what it was? It was just.
No, I was talking to you.
The only reason I brought it up was because I just thought because you was looking after him.
Very
you might
cleverly
have been
done.
You might have been there.
Yeah, I wasn't there that night. He just shot up there on the night when the babies were born. Went up there with a couple of people, and Ray was up there. Got them all up there, and I don't know if he could get hold of me or whatever he happened, but I would have been with him, and that wouldn't have happened.
And you know, we obviously had a conversation in 2002. I thought it was 2003, but 2002.
2003,
at that restaurant in Ascot,
the book
Chow 90s, wasn't it?
Was finished in 2002, but that was 2003.
Right.
By the time they come out on our back, then the thing, but it was written in 2000. So I knew it'd be within the year of that.
And I think obviously because you know we'd already developed Rolling with the Nines at that point.
Yeah.
And then we were chatting, and I think you saw One Man and His Dog, which was the one with Adam in it.
Yeah.
That was my first film.
Yeah.
And we obviously had a chat about, you know, I've got this book called Muscle.
Because we said that rolling, you got to get Rolling in the Nines out of the way, do the premiere.
Yeah.
We all agreed, didn't we, to sit back, get that out of the way, which we did, the little premiere we did and all that, and then that so that you had the full time.
I think the problem with Rise of the Foot Soldier is obviously when we come up.
I quite liked Rolling in the Nines. I thought it was
Rolling in the Nines was a good film.
I thought it was good. A lot of people were now. I thought it was a good film. I liked it. So I said to you, because you played the copper, didn't you, in it? Yeah. And I said, I said to you, it was a good film.
Yeah, lots of people.
I liked it.
Yeah, lots of people said that it was a great movie.
Yeah.
But when we got Julian,
because you know what it was, it wasn't like a cheap British movie film. Because I think when Julian added the East Touch of Class, you could see where he was going and what he had, that touch.
I mean, them two boys, Julian and William Gilby,
fucking amazing.
That film, Rolling with the Nines, like was made for hardly any money, and it was like fucking
what they did.
That's,
I know that, yeah.
And then when we obviously got them to write the script for your thing, and they come up with the Rise of the Foot Soldier title, like I spent, and you might remember this, but you might not. But I spent a couple of years trying to get the money, trying to get this, trying to get that, knocking on all doors.
I knew you were struggling.
Being told no.
No, we had conversations.
Yeah, it was fucking hard work. Yeah. But the thing is, when I and I had a breakthrough, and this is a good bit of advice, like in life, when people are trying to get something done, whether it's a film, whether it's a business, whatever it is.
Worst thing is a bit of desperation, you're saying, isn't it? When you need.
Well, no. Do you know what it is? It's like most people after a year or 2 years are knocking on doors, being told no, fuck off.
Yeah.
You give up. Do you know what I mean? But I just kept knocking. And then I met the...
I remember bringing
Mike,
people to you. You must have gone to 100 people to invest. Like
probably more than that.
Just to keep it going.
Just
keep
wanted
it
to
up
get
and
it
running.
up.
So we'd get it off the ground. And I know that.
Yeah. And
I know you worked on it, but my thing was a stupid little thing that I should have really nipped it in the bud. Right. Our conversation after that.
Yeah. Well, I think
you know what I mean?
I think when I met, I got introduced to Carnaby Films, a guy called Mike Loveday, and Mike Loveday.
You introduced him to me the first day he come on set,
and he actually said to me,
he had his coat on, long coat on,
and he actually said to me, he said, "Oh, send us the script, right?" So I sent him the script. And he was like, and he always had that cigar. Then he was like, "Yeah." He goes, "We like this." He goes, "We're West Ham boys, right?" And I was like, "Oh, great! We found someone finally."
Yeah.
And they used to raise money to make films. And we'd already raised a bit of money, but then they come in and was like, "We give you the money,
the chunk you needed,
right? But we need the rights." And at the time, it was like I wanted to make the film, and obviously you said to me from probably when we developed the script, "I want you to play Tony." So I always thank you for that, Carlton, because you insisted on it. And you could have quite easily said, "I don't care who plays it."
I trusted, and that's where I thought where everyone else dug it out and everything else is. It's how I looked at it. I trusted you with the persona of my best friend. Do you understand?
Yeah. Which was nice. And
I still don't regret that.
No,
I don't regret that for 1 minute because it was the whole thing was great. The making of it, all the people. The fucking people that, I mean, the extras, we had fucking, they were proper hooligans, all dorm. Do you remember the punch up under the beach? There was our right-handers going, and they were proper fighting,
do you know what the best one was, right? There was the double-decker buses, because there was so many of them, and there was everyone was meant to eat on them.
Yeah.
But I think they was all fucking taking drugs on them and getting drunk. And Julian come down to me on set and he goes, "Terry," he goes, "there's people taking drugs and drinking on the buses. They're meant to be eating food. It's all going to go terribly wrong." And I was going, "Look, Julian," I said, "go and talk to Mike because he's the producer. He's going to get it all sorted out." But then, do you remember Simon Ellsworth?
Yeah.
He broke his fucking arm.
Yeah, he jumps over the thing and he snapped his arm.
And he rang me up and he goes, because someone said, "One of your mates has broke their arm." So I phoned him out as Simon. I said, "Are you all right?" He goes, "I'm in the hospital."
Yeah, the bald head, the bomber jacket.
He goes, "All I want to know is, am I in the movie?" And I went, "Yes." And he went, "Great." He goes, "Don't worry about it." So people were just happy to be involved.
But people were like actually throwing right-handers. That's what I said. People were getting hurt. Like, with the actor with the ponytail, he had the black eye. That was through like the fight scenes. And even stuntmen went to me, this lot, when Pinto and all us on the door come running down the road, the big guys, and then it was all like, and they would make it look real, and it was going right, people going crash, crash, crash.
People going, "No, we got to make it look real."
Yeah.
I thought you wanted it real.
And that's the same thing with they were all doing the gear and drink, and then like he went to me, I went, "They're all doing gear." It was 6 o'clock in the morning with him, and I went, "What?" I said to Ricky, I was in his thing, he's getting ready. He went, "Are you having a laugh?" I went, This is what these are like. They've probably just not even been to bed. Right. I said, but at least it's going to be real.
Real, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think what the one thing that film, it had a real rawness and grittiness, and it was real. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you watch it, you were like, "Fucking hell." Yeah. And I think because nobody had ever made anything that brutal.
That's what I'm saying. It was, as much as everyone went, it was a breath of fresh air. It was the first time a film had been made like that, ever. There'd been like The Craze, different films like, but football, all the fictional, when they compare it with a fictional film, how can you compare based on the murders of 3 men where it ended or the life of someone at the beginning? That fiction film and a true story. So as a true story based on, say as much as facts we could put out there.
Right.
And the scenarios at the end was very, very clever. Right. All the different instances. Don't forget that was all going around at the time.
Yeah, but there was
this one, that one done it. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, the one thing, Mickey Steele and Jack Williams have always protested their innocence, right? Do you think that they did it, or do you think they were involved in it?
I've never met Jack Williams, never heard of him. But I obviously met Mickey Steele a few times. Right. But it was all very secretive. That was when Pat and Tony would be out somewhere, birthday party, Mickey Steele, and they'd be in the corner, introduced them, had a quick chat, moved away. Right. So I never really knew the man. Pat was also in the prison world, where he had a big reputation.
So that's how they met through.
Yeah.
Right.
He looks after like Reggie and Reggie's boyfriend and and everything else that went on in them days. And and in the prison system, because he trained, he was fit, he was 6'4", and he looked the part, and he didn't give a f. He loved the terror. So everyone used Pat, you know what I mean? Even the screws turned a blind eye because he could do things for them that no one else could do. So he was allowed privileges. So in the prison system, if he was in the prison system, he'd still be alive now because he thrived on it in a way.
Right.
But it's like, what was we saying? Get back to...
Well, no, just about if you thought that was involved.
So he was banged up with Mickey still. They become very good friends, and he obviously, I think he sort of half looks after Mickey, had his back in prison. So they had a relationship. So when Pat got out, a bit of time later, because they were talking about doing work on their own and everything else, about a pilot, and then Pat said, I've got this bloke called Mickey Steele, pilot and all that. He brought him on board, set all the mates up. They were doing all stuff. Tony went, do you want to put money in to get this stuff? And I went, not interested.
Right.
I'm not interested. I'm all right. I'm happy doing what I'm doing. Got me money. I'm not interested going out there and doing all that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like I said, that was when there was a lot of desperation. They were doing far too much drugs, and they were desperate for money.
Right.
That's why they were doing that deal. Pat was unstable.
Right.
So anything that went wrong, he just turned on you and go, I'm going to fucking kill you. I'll kill you, murder. And that's where the thing come, obviously, of the fuck up where the gear was janked with Mickey, right? Everyone knew about that. I did know that to reimburse them, that there was the thing going to go on, that he was going to land the plane, there was this secret thing. So my thing is, did he actually kill him? I will never know to this day, and I don't want to know.
Right.
It's too many years later. I'm not interested now. Even if I know it, don't bring them back.
Right.
He served 30-odd years in prison, and Jack has. I don't know whether Jack... The only thing I knew was, obviously, the reason they went down there was because Mickey had organised it, because I knew that, because I spoke to Tony the night before, and I knew everything was what was going on, and I didn't want to be involved in it because there was something else going on. I was on a fucking under thingy on a murder charge or something that had happened with my doorman, something like that. So I had them all crawling over me anyway. I said, I can't be with you, Tony, anyway. He said, I want you to have my back. I said, I can't be. So Craig went along, but whether people believe that, I don't really care.
Right.
I know what I know, you know what I mean? But the thing is it happened, so I think, yes, he even knew what he was doing. Do I think the police could have been involved? The way they were killed, it had to be top old bill, could have been.
Right.
But I don't think we'll ever know.
Do you know something?
Because no one's ever proved it, right? And people out there still trying to prove it. No one, it's too late now. The person who killed him could be dead for all we know.
Right. And even if you know it is, it's not really going to bring him back.
He ain't.
But so what made me sort of smile was when you look at the first Footsoldier, we had those 3 alternative endings.
Yeah.
And the reason we had those 3 alternative endings was because Gillian was like, well, you know, Mickey Steele and Jack are in jail.
Yeah.
So we got to have that as an ending.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's also a rumour that a firm killed him, and there's also a rumour that the police did it, right?
Yeah.
Because of Leah Betts,
Yeah.
right? So he said, let's put them all in.
There was loads of firms going around. Everyone was, I mean, even they said Kenny Noy killed them, right? Then I spoke to Kenny Noy's son. I got a message. Kenny sent me, he was in Belmarsh, sent me a message, and he said that, like, basically through someone else, that he wasn't him and they'd done it, you know what I mean? And I met his sons at Ascot, outside the Channel 90s, and they was and I had a chat with them, and they went, you know, it ain't me dad, his boys. And he said, I think it's 2 sons, yeah. He said, they'd done that. I said, I know he didn't do it. I said, but everyone's going to go, it was him. Or if they want to make a name for him, I killed him.
Right, of course, yeah.
Because
I mean, Nipper Ellis said his dad did it. His dad did it.
His dad did it while he was crying.
Easy for me to say.
Nah.
But
No,
it was,
we all know that.
I mean, that was madness, wasn't
Yeah,
it? I mean,
that was a bit embarrassing, really, to go that extreme. One man, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, it's. I mean, Nipper did. He was the guy who shot Pat, wasn't he, through the window?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so I see him afterwards.
Right,
I met him afterwards. I had to meet him on behalf of everything, just because of what went on. You know what I mean? And yeah, but he still went round the back of a fucking bungalow and he see him through the window, and now he had the baby in his arm, the boy, and he shot him through the glass. So
I mean, there's no code or anything in that, is there?
no, whatever he's done to you or whatever, when he
Wait
opens
till he
the
comes
door,
out, yeah.
or wait for him to come out on his own and do it. Don't sneak in the middle of the night because he like and can shoot the man through the window.
Imagine if
Even if he
shot the
deserved
baby.
it,
Imagine
even if he
if the
deserved
baby-
it, there's no code. That's just not, that world he wanted to be in, Nipper, with everybody, running side shoulder to shoulder with them type of people, and then change the rules to suit him. It don't work like that.
Yeah. So we know that Nipper's dead dad didn't do it, so that's one good thing. But what when I was saying about what made me smile was somebody mentioned to me about there was a thing called Operation Tiberius. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, what is this Operation Tiberius? And apparently, it was all about the way that the police had been corrupted by organised crime.
Yeah.
And this is going back, it's probably a 20 or 30-year-old.
It's been going for years.
Yeah. But what was interesting about it was,
And they brought up about Freemasonry, about criminals being in lodges with top old bill, like the gold bullion thing and all that, all that. Well, that's, like I know that fact is that police have to now go there, boom, because I'm a Freemason. I went in there with my dad like 30 odd years ago, right? So, but I know there's a lot of police in different lodges, especially at the West End, and a lot of, but the police, like the Federation, because you have to swear on the oath to look after your fellow brother.
Right.
So there was, the criminal element and the police used it to both their advantage.
right.
By being brethren.
So you think that Freemasonry basically was the thing that basically joined them up?
No, well, yeah. A lot of them met in lodges and became friends. Yeah,
because this operation,
but you have to be a Freemason to understand how it works, and when you're in a lodge, that every man's equal.
Right.
When you go through that door, I can't explain too much. But I get it, and then I knew, and the police said that from now on, they didn't want the police to hire up policemen to be at Freemasonry, right? And if they are, they've got to make it known to their superiors, because too many people will get criminals getting off for stuff.
I'm a brother as well. So, but I joined it because I wanted to go into the entertainment side because they have an entertainment lodge. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah,
the Chelsea
Lodge. Yeah. Well, the actors are.
Yeah, so I went.
Jim Davison's been through the chair twice there.
Yeah, so I did it just because I just thought I'd just try.
I did it because my dad was a Freemason, and he wanted me to go in as a Lewis.
Right.
And because he was in his late 60s, it was something I could do with my dad.
Right.
That I couldn't do as a kid or as a man.
That must have been fun.
And it made him so proud. I didn't want to go in there because I thought, Freemasonry, like everyone else.
Right.
But I did it, and I stopped going when he passed away 5 years ago because I only went Freemasonry so I could take him on his walking stick, take him up London, the lodges. We were Clerkenwell Road, law courts.
When I joined it made me laugh because obviously I didn't know what to expect. And when I went through the different degrees, when I got to the third and got the master thing, then I said to one of the guys, I said, when am I going to kill the goat? Right? Is there any sexual relations with goats? He went, it's all bollocks. He said,
the wind up, isn't it?
Yeah,
you get there, they just wind you up, all the noises and everything else. You know what I mean?
But for me, listen, the one thing I took away from, I resigned, right? Because I'm not in anymore.
I'm just a knife and fork one. I actually went to a meeting as a guest for the first time in about 3 or 4 years. Because when my dad passed away, it took a part of me out of my life because I loved my dad and idolised him. And he's the best, he was my best mate. He was like a little old East End. So I did it for him. And I thought, do you know what? And before I went last week, I had a little shot of brandy and I went, Dad, I always talk to my dad, got his ashes in there. I go, I'm going tonight for you. This is for you. Right. So when there's a thing called absent brethren where you toast the people that are gone, which you know. Yeah. So I did that and when we done it, I done it for I said, this is for you, Dad. So I'm wanting to be proud of me.
But when I went into it, a lot of people go, oh, it's devil worshipping and it's all this stuff.
No. But people don't understand.
But for me, it's.
Have you ever got? I tell you what's great about it: the history.
Yeah.
If you actually go back to all them years, Egyptians and all that, and then go the Knights Templars, and the history, what chapter like, and all that, and the different stories, it's basically the history of religion behind it, because you know the all seeing eye is obviously God. You know what I mean?
What I liked about it was the there's one being, right? There's one God, and you just have to say you believe in God. You don't have to wear any clothes. You don't have to do any funny things. You just literally go, there's one God, and I believe in it, and that's it. And for me, when I was when you know
the dollar bill, didn't you? It's got the all seeing eye, because that's the Freemason going to America when he was took out there.
I love all the
we
the
can
stuff
sit and talk
behind it.
hours on this, because it's so interesting. Like, I've read up on it and all the stuff. It's the history side that really, I thought,
right. But it's fascinating what you said about, because obviously in the lodges you do get all sorts. You get police, you get criminals, you get all sorts of people. You get Muslims, you get Christians, you get...
I took my Indian mate, my best friend, he died of cancer, God rest his soul. And he was the first Indian to go in their lodge.
Wow.
Right, and he was a Sikh. And they said to him, do you want the Sikh? Because you got all the different books there. Like, you got the Muslim, you got all that, the different ceremonies.
But we're all the same under one roof.
But once you're in there, you're all the same brothers. And I said to him, do you want? He went, no, and he'd done the Christian one, and he was like proper Sikh. And I've been to weddings with him.
But that's what I love. That's the one thing I loved about it. It was literally, we're all the same.
Everybody
we all
in that
look
room.
out for each other.
This is what I said about the police. Everyone is equal in that room. It doesn't matter whether you're a fucking Met Police, or you're a fucking prince, or you're a fucking archbishop, or you're just a milkman, or a postman, or
all
whatever.
Same,
Everybody is equal in the room, and they're spot on. So I think we're ending there.
But what was interesting, going back to this Operation Tiberius thing, was it talked about. It didn't mention Freemasonry, but it talks about how organised crime has infiltrated the police. And vice versa.
That's when it all started becoming putting alert bells on it all. Yeah.
And what was interesting, right, was and I'm not going to mention the name in the report, because I don't know if the report that I've seen is real or whether it's been doctored.
It could be, couldn't it? We know when people get bits of paper. You've seen this thing that this geezer's written and all that, and there's a photocopy of a statement or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you not think people can doctor things and make
things
and make it look like that?
Of course.
Do you not think the old bill used to set people up?
Well, I did think the fact that this document exists, right? And if you and what's interesting is, what was actually quite horrifying is how many people in it I knew, and I didn't realise how bad they were.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And what was funny, well, it wasn't funny, but when Leah Betts obviously died, she died, as we know, on an ecstasy tablet that was bought in Raquel's, and
it was sold outside before Raquel's opened.
But it was to do with the Essex Boys, right? Oh, Tony and Pat, because it was
they weren't doing Tony and Pat.
So whose these were they?
A certain person who was in Dorman there was buying them off of Tony, right? And I know who was supplying them, blah, blah, blah. He was earning money, and he was giving Tony a drink for sorting it out in there, right? And they were his people. He was in control of the club. She had been going in there from the age of 15, 16. So there was always underage girls in there. How does an 18-year-old girl just all of a sudden go, oh, I want to... Do you honestly think, right, that Tony and Pat pull up in a Range Rover and meet an 18-year-old girl outside the club?
No, of course not. Of course not.
And that's the way it's being portrayed.
But the thing is that the drugs were linked to them.
Yes.
Right? And
yes, they did come from. They did come from.
And what was interesting? Well, what's interesting in this report is it said that there was a notorious criminal organisation that were the biggest, sellers of ecstasy, and obviously they were, giving or selling these pills to Tony and Craig and Pat, and when this happened in this club where the policeman's daughter took this thing. No, but where
we can't speak on this.
No, but where she took the pill and then went home and died.
No, she took the pill when she got back to the thing. She got the pills for her party.
Yeah, but her house.
Yeah. And so she overheated the water and all that. And
so when she...
But she was also... Everyone said, from that, she used to take speed all the time. So she may have had a load of that as well.
Right.
But it was easy to go, let's blame the boys. But
what's interesting is...
when I say about pawns and someone needs to take the fucking thing, that's the same thing.
But what was interesting, and this is what made me smile, was the firm that was bringing in and selling all this throughout the country that was giving it to Tony Patton Craig. Obviously, when Leah Betts died on this ecstasy tablet or this concoction of drugs or whatever it was,
Why didn't a million people die as well?
but they got the blame for it, didn't they?
Yeah.
Right? But what was interesting, her father
Right.
was in this report is had a conversation with one of these people in this organisation and said, you know, my daughter's basically died on this and you know, it's to do with them.
Yeah.
And then this guy in the report allegedly says he'd deal with it, but he
And
didn't
the
say,
mafia.
but he just said he'd deal with it. But when you read this document, like, and you read all the different things in it, you think there's too much stuff in here for it. It could all be made up, right? But I just thought, isn't it funny that
The thing is, right, you're talking about distribution of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pills. You know how they used to come to the country. They come in. So damn clubs them pills will be all
Everywhere.
over the country, right? So I know every now and again someone's going to get a bad reaction. Another thing, I'm not justifying it. She was one of the unlucky ones.
Yeah.
But that night in Raquel's, there would have been 500 sold.
yeah, for sure,
600. But she wasn't even in Raquel. She was outside. I'm not saying that, and it's a very, very sad thing because I'll be broken-eyed and I would want revenge all day long.
100%.
But is the end of the day is whoever put them there, and if it was the turn, they were just that cog in that's the cog, the wheel, right? The workings. They're only that part of it.
Yeah.
Essex, a small few clubs in Essex, right? So they
that-
weren't
is-
the drug lords. They weren't
know.
the fucking cartel of Essex.
Right.
They were just earning a few quid. You know what I mean? Selling drugs.
But the reason I talked about this is because because when I was trying to, because everyone's always asked me, you know, who did it? You must know, and I'm like, I don't know. Right?
I don't know.
But what and because it's gone on for so long now. I mean, it was 95, wasn't it? So it's 30 years.
Yeah.
Right. So you think 3 decades, people have been going like, who's fucking done it? And those guys have been in jail. And and something made me think, well, if there was any truth in that report that, you know, they had the conversation, I'm wondering whether Mickey Steele and Jack Williams, because they were bringing stuff in, they were somehow involved
Yeah, but
in
Jack
it.
Williams wasn't a person he wasn't an importer of stuff. I think he was a
But
friend.
he was Mickey's mate, wasn't he?
Yeah,
So
they were mates.
So
But
I
he'd
did.
obviously been in prison, so they may have met in prison. He, from what, to read between lines, because obviously I've spoken to John when he's dead now as well, but I think he was sort of his bit of muscle. He needed someone out to have his back, and he trusted Jack. Obviously, he was trustworthy. So, as far as importing drugs, he was a car mechanic, which he's gone back to doing, and everything else, and everything else. And good luck to him if he didn't do it.
Right.
But obviously, he wrapped himself round, and it was the unlucky one.
Right.
You know, like when someone goes out and you're part of the thing, and it's like.
Well, I wonder whether, you know, we talked about pawns earlier.
Yeah.
Whether they were used as
They
pawns.
could have been.
Because they were definitely in the area because of the cell
Listen,
phone
whoever,
data.
yes.
But
yeah, I know
did
that,
they
yeah.
actually do it? That's the thing. And
I don't think.
and if you was
I
in
don't
jail,
think they did.
if you was in jail, right, and you were on a life sentence, and someone come into your cell and said, "Carl, if you put your hands up, you can go home." You just fucking put your hands up because you want to go home, right?
Of course you would,
but they've
yeah.
sat in there for 30 years saying it's not us. So
Yeah.
for me, that always makes me wonder why anybody would
What
be
did I
that.
say about, you know, the Charles Bronsons and the Crays did 30 odd years and they've done more than what they've done the prison for, if you know what I mean. Because people need to have an example made of them to show the general public you can't do that.
Right.
If you're a
Otherwise,
drug dealer and a
it
young
could
girl
be,
dies, that's how you're going to end up
Right.
with your head blown off.
Right. I mean, that's a pretty powerful message, right?
And do you think people would listen more to, they got 10 years for selling pills,
Right.
or they got their heads blown off
Right.
because they sold the pills that killed a young girl? What's the stronger message?
Yeah, no, you're right. Absolutely. So
You know,
we're never going to know, but
Never,
you know,
yeah.
but there's some interesting reading for people
Yeah.
and some interesting ideas
Yeah.
there. And you know, obviously the original Rise of the Footsoldier come out. Obviously it didn't work out at the cinema, but obviously it become a cult movie on DVD. And then I think what happened next? Because I know you was doing another film, weren't you? And then you had a sort of fallout with them over it. But
because this money and all this, and then like this, and it ain't made no money, and all that stuff, you know, like. But then we go, you want to get, you know, when like it's like the dangling in the carrot and all that,
right?
And I thought about doing another Rise of a Soldier, carrying it on and on. Why would I want to do another Rise of a Soldier if I'm not going to earn money?
Right.
The first one was. It wasn't about the money. It was about my story.
You wanted to make it, right? And obviously the book got a boost, didn't it?
Brilliant. And, you know, I was doing all right, but is like, you know, how many people have had a life story and they're alive?
Right, and actually put on the screen, there's not
like
many.
A real person, and they're alive. And then they want to do another film, like, obviously I wanted to go forward and just do it, not as wise. I wanted, because if they played ball with me, I would have done the second one, as long as it was on them lines where me suffering, showing the pain and being a real person, not being able to deal with the paranoia, the drugs. I didn't trust anybody, which I never went through years. Right. And that's the statement. But obviously, I didn't know that Ricky could never play me. And that was the loophole in the thing when it went to call. And obviously, Jonathan Softcock come in.
Right.
Like he was making a film every 2 weeks, and he used the money out of that film to try and finish another film. And it was all went wrong. And just he kind of becoming swooped it up, and it was theirs. Right. So it was nothing I'd do. But I just wanted to call it Reign the General, meaning like going from Rise of the Foot Soldier to follow, as in from a foot soldier to being a general. Do you know? Keeping it on that theme. Yeah. Of the Rise of a Footsoldier, but anyway.
But I mean, but the other thing is that you know, because I know you obviously got the me when you saw that I was making a film with your friend Bernard Mahoney.
Oh yeah,
and
that was the last time we spoke on the phone.
Yeah, but I'll give you some context on it, right?
Yeah.
Because it's good for everyone to know, right? So. My relationship with Bernard, we've always, you know, spoken on social media, and he's always been all right with me, and I've never had anything bad to say about him because he's never done me any harm, right? And what happened was when I think, I don't know if it was, no, it wasn't. It was because Reign of the General, was that 2010? Or was that 2011?
I can't remember now.
Right,
so around about that time.
So we. I think we announced Bonded by Blood. I think it was probably 2009.
Bonded by Blood 1 and 2 come out before that.
Yeah, so the first one, I had a distributor that I was working with called Revolver, and they come to me and they went, we really want to fucking do an Essex Boys story, right? But we want you to do it without the wig, right? Now, I was a bit like, well, that was what he had, like, people used to call him Wiggy, right? I said, his hair has to look, you know, and they went, no, we just want to do it. And we don't want to do what you've done with Rise of the Foot. So we want to do something completely new, completely fresh. And I said, well, look, I said, we need to base it on a book. So Bernie had obviously had the Essex Boys website. Yeah. He obviously had the book Bonded by Blood. So I phoned him out and I said, Bernie, I said, look, you know, I'd like to do something with your book because I need to have some IP that I can base this on so I don't get any problems with the Foot Soldier people. Because obviously they would then, like what happened to you, they'd have gone, well, hang on a minute, we've just done this. You can't then go and do Rise of the Foot Soldier and call it something else. So that's why I got the book off him. And, you know, I paid him to use it. He came on the set and you know, that was all fine. And then obviously, you obviously got upset about that. And I know you said that we had a conversation on the phone.
I rang you when it was all coming out, and I said, like, don't, like, and because as a friend, and you went, you know, like, I'm an actor now, I'm different, and whether I've got to play fucking Fred West or something, like whatever.
I don't know if I want to play Fred West.
Rose, sorry.
Rose, yeah. I look good in the dress.
You know what I mean? You were saying, and I understand, but I couldn't get my head around it because I thought, like, I don't know whether.
I mean, you and Bernard, right? Obviously, fucking hate each other, right? You know, what caused the thing between you and him? Was it? Did you actually just fall out when?
No, I just know the truth about the man, what he's about, and where he comes from, and everything else. Right.
So that's.
I'll give you one statement, right? Born Patrick Bernard King, and his son's called Vinnie King. But why is he Bernard O'Mahony? But his real name is Patrick. He's by Depot he's changed it to Patrick Bernard fucking Mahoney. So why did he change his name?
Right. Let's talk about life insurance. Now, if you ever tried getting a quote before, you probably ended up on one of those sites where instead of sorting your family's future, you get offered a fluffy meerkat. Or, somewhat provoked, screaming at you about how you've won a deal. I mean, come on. Are you buying life insurance or are you trying to complete a Happy Meal collection? That's where CompareLifeQuotes.com comes in. No gimmicks, no pointless freebies, just straight up life insurance from proper UK providers. You get the best quotes, quick, with no nonsense. And trust me, your family will appreciate a tax-free payout a lot more than a stuffed animal sitting looking at them from the mantelpiece. Oh, and security? Do not worry. We don't sell your details to 100 call centres who ring you when you're trying to eat your dinner. We've got bank-level encryption, proper compliance. Your info's locked down tighter than a high-security vault. Getting a quote takes less than 2 minutes. That's less time than it takes to mute one of those annoying ad jingles. So stop messing about and go over to CompareLifeQuotes.com, get a quote and sort your family's future today. Because when you go, your loved ones need cash, not a cuddly toy. You know what?
What reason?
Do you know what? I have no clue, but I mean, I would probably
And he
say...
was from the army, and also he's connected to the Irish. He's Irish, Southern Irish. I just don't understand it.
Right.
It's, when people do stuff like that, and other things that I've been told, when he obviously having in the know when he come to Essex and why he come to Essex and why he was put in Essex, where he appeared from, you know what I mean? And as soon as the dirty deed was done, they died and everything was he was moved out because he said he was threatened.
Right.
But there's too many question marks, but I don't want to go down it.
No, it's fine. I mean, look...
I'm not here to slag him off.
No, it's fine.
I will never be his friend for what he done.
Right.
And what he did to manipulate the death of them people.
Right.
He was an instigator because he made sure that his arse was covered. He never got arrested. Everyone else took the fucking thing for it, the drug dealers and everything else. And then all of a sudden, 1 minute he's an hard man, he's a fucking doorman, this, that, and the other. And next thing he's a fucking writer, like sort of journalist. So you're either one thing or the other. Like, listen, we've written books. You've written a book as a promoter.
Yeah.
I've written a book as a football thugs come in the underworld, the rave scene.
Yeah.
I'm not. That doesn't make me a journalist. Doesn't make you a journalist. We writing about our lives.
Right. I mean, I've maybe when
I've just got my opinion, which is never going to change in a million years.
Yeah, I didn't know if he was going to, have a meet up with him and hug it out.
No. I'll meet up with him.
Right. No, because obviously,
listen,
he's openly said that you're a grass. You've obviously openly said that he's a grass, right? So if you have a grass off, who wins?
Me. No, it's a grass off.
No, I'm joking.
The thing is, he's saying that because to counteract my statements about him. So because I've kept going from day dot from the 90s when he first appeared and what's gone on, and
but you don't think there's any way that you can because as
I've got
I said,
to be in the same room as him.
Right, okay. Because as I said, I've only ever seen a good side to him. I've never seen a bad side to him.
You won't do, will you?
And
yeah, but his good side is like anyone can be nice. He's a fucking chameleon. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
The environment suits him. Like, I don't even want to go down the road.
Right. But do you not think? But you don't think there's any chance? Because you're both, he's got to be in his 60s. You're obviously in your 60s.
He's
that
62,
you'll ever just literally go, look, right, okay. So there's no way you can solve that.
No.
Okay.
He was never my friend in the beginning, and he won't be my friend at the end.
Right.
You was my friend in the beginning, and you'll be my friend at the end because I chose that.
Right.
That's what I wanted to do.
I appreciate that, Carlton. Because
I think that everybody's now taking the wrong thing. Going, I hate Terry Stone because I've had a little disagreement.
Right.
They're jumping on the bandwagon without even knowing you.
Hopefully, this podcast will change their mind.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
I don't care about what people. No one's going to tell me who I can be friends with.
Right.
No one's going to tell me who. Like I tried to tell you, and I was wrong to do that about him.
Right.
But
what we should have done in hindsight, and hindsight's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Is what we should have done, and I'm probably as guilty of this as you.
Both of us are.
We should have picked the phone up and said,
I should have rung you back again.
So what is the problem? And then you'd have gone, well, why are you working with him? And I said, this is why.
Yeah.
And then at that point you might have gone, well, I don't like him, but I understand why you're working with him.
Yeah.
And
I was like Mr. Angry then and everything else.
I think you said that I was Bernard's best friend.
Yes, I did.
And the other thing you said,
That was me just having a dig
which
at you.
cracked me up, was you said, I think I'm Tony. And I have actually worn that wig at night and in the morning around the house. So my wife said, please take it off.
He's just me little dig at you. That's not me going off.
No, but honestly, I thought it was, do you know what?
Yeah.
And this is the truth, right? I've always thought it was funny. And I've always took it all in jest. Do you know what I mean? I've never been.
Sometimes I miss him, and sometimes I see things like like him going sitting there like you do, and I thought like, oh, that weren't him. Right. And I know it ain't him.
But you know what the problem? I tell you what the problem is,
right?
And this is one of the big issues, right? When anybody writes a script, so I know you weren't a fan of obviously the Pat Tate story, the Marbad, the Origins, and all
I've
the
never
other
watched none of them.
But
I've never watched Bonded by Blood.
Right.
I won't watch any of them.
But I know you said obviously Tony wasn't like that.
Yeah.
He didn't swear a lot. He wasn't this, wasn't that.
He was a gentleman.
But I think the issue with anything when a writer writes the script,
but they
create the dialogue and the characters.
It's like a caricature. If that person who's mold-mannered fucking like Clark Kent, it becomes that. Like the Superman version of him.
Right.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Bigger than life, this, that. And I understand. But for me, sometimes it's that's why I didn't watch it, because I didn't want to be upset and keep on with you. But I had to cut little digs, like,
No, but it was all taken in jest. And
so
people always saying to me, what's the beef with you and Carlton? And I was like, look, and I openly said, look, we met, we've been friends for a long time. We met, he had a book. I helped him get it made. And it massively put you on the map, you know what I mean? Because everyone knew you was on the dorm and the club scene. But obviously when that film came out, because it went all around the world, all of a sudden people were like, me, who is this guy from London, Yeah, so it was an amazing thing. And like we said earlier, there's not that many people that can say there's been 2 films made about them. There's been books written about them. Yeah. There's been documentaries made about them. And, I know if you'd have decided to stay in with the Footsoldier stuff, Carlton Leach would have probably popped up in all of them. Do you know what I mean?
But you know what? I won't even think, I'm stubborn. It's like, once we know, when someone promises the money, and I know they said he didn't make, that weren't you, because I knew how the finances going, because you kept me informed right up to the day when Mike got Love Day, and then when the makers come out, and I knew that weren't the problem. It was them going,
selling you the dream.
Yeah, selling me the dream, and wanting me to do other stuff without money, and I'm thinking like, come on, listen, you know what I mean?
You're not a charity, are you?
No, but you've gone from that film company down to Rise of Footsoldier, hence you, and me writing it, whatever they're starting to to that.
Right.
You're on the top stage now.
Right. I mean, I suppose we need to pay.
And what I'm saying to you, whatever the thing is, my thing about the thing is nothing to do with what you did with the film and where you got it and what you did, the hard work. And I knew that because I spoke to you every fucking day, every week leading up to it. I'm talking about it was the personal little bit, and I was niggled with him being that, and I thought, oh, don't jump in the bed with him and let him manipulate you. And then, but stubbornness, like, you know what it is? If you don't ring someone for a week, it goes 2 weeks. Then 2 weeks goes a month. A month goes 6 months. When you get to a year, it's so hard. Then you've got to stick by your guns. Right. And if that person ain't going to talk to you, and that's what's happened. And it had to be done down to our very good friend and out of respect for him, that if he's looking down, he has brought us together and solved another problem without having to know.
Cheers, Brian. But the thing is, like, it's sad that our mutual friend has to die of cancer for us to actually get.
Sometimes that's the wake up call that happens. That's how life is, isn't it? Yeah. How many families, like brothers, have not spoke for 40 years, and then when someone's died, another brother, and they've met at the fucking thing, put their arms around each other, started crying, and they spoke for fucking 30 years.
I know.
I know families like stubborn, like big families in the extent, and one of them, and I know that for a fact.
I mean, what
a waste of life.
One message I think from this podcast is anybody that's listening or watching, if you have fell out with somebody,
and they do care,
and you care about them, you should pick the fucking phone up because otherwise you let it fester. And I think
fester become, and I hate that word, it is festering is a form of cancer. It's like a cancer. It grows and it takes control of you. And what you don't realise, it becomes that in your mind becomes that big.
Right.
And then you think, well, what is it? I'm sitting there going, what the fuck? And what is it really all about?
Right. And it really was all bollocks.
Yeah. And we're sitting there. But, listen, it's something that, and it's allowed us to actually talk about ourselves, our own stories, which are entwined, how it is, which we've not done.
Yeah.
We've not done.
And that's what I think this podcast is.
Amazing.
It is special. It's special. And,
listen, there's no one else, whatever podcaster they are, whoever they are in this country, can sit and do what we've done today because the connection we've got.
I don't have the history.
That's it. You know that.
Well, listen, I'm glad that we've settled their beef over a wimpy.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'll take that all day long, mate. I've done good podcasts. You've done good podcasts, like entertainment.
Right.
That's for entertainment, right? This is real life.
Right.
There ain't been one lie on this table. It's been from the heart. We looked at each other in the eyes. There ain't been no piss taking, no fucking gin, but each other out. Right. It's two people, real people, with history, talking about where all that history that we made together and where we are today.
Well, if you think about it, really, we've created something magical with Footsoldier.
Yeah. And even today we die. We were there at the beginning, the book, you bringing it to the table, the days in Marrakesh, the meetings, the Julian Gill. You brought all that to the table and done it. And which I've always never denied that, and it's in my books. You've done the thing in me. And that's there till the day we die. It's history. Right. History in the making, and we've made it. And so all the other things have come off of it. It is what it is, but you never can take it away from the original and how it come about.
Yeah. Well, it was.
That's an achievement.
It was your book, and it was bringing the right people in, which was Julian and William, and us collaborating to build what it has now become the most successful true crime film franchise in England.
The thing was,
but it all started from that.
Like you said, go and get all the doormen, go and get the foot. And people say, where you got extras now in fields? You've got 20 people each side running up and down the road. There was 300-400 people that day.
Mate, that was just...
It was like a game of football. If you walk past and looked over the bridge and looked down,
you'd be in the police, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But the other thing that I wanted to ask you, Carlton, is what are you doing in the future? Because I know you said that you was enjoying
retirement.
That you said about that King of Clubs thing that we done where we was narrating the book, and you actually said you quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna see the reaction of this, how people are, if they're still interested. Yes, I would definitely be up for doing that.
Yeah, because I actually think,
but it's what I said. And I appreciate the offer because it's a new outlet. I'm traveling the country. It can tell the story, and you can be yourself doing it. Do you understand?
Someone said to me the other night, which I wasn't sure if they was being, when someone gives you a backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
Someone said, I really like your club scene things on a Wednesday. I listen to it before I go to bed. I said, I send you to sleep. I mean, no, I just like listening to it before I go to sleep, then I go off. But this bedtime story thing is a thing, right? So I definitely think there'd be mileage in actually doing something with the book. Because I think people that, like you, like me,
people when they're bored, like they go on YouTube,
or put
the earpiece in, or they're out sitting on a train, they might be in the back of the car, on a plane, and they get a podcast. Maybe go, oh, what's your podcast? I've never seen it. I see a podcast, oh, I was bored, and I just thought I'd go and watch it. And they go, and they're sitting watching. And that is, yes, but when someone else tells your story, it's different. But when the person who's like you've done actually told your own story, that you can't get no better than that.
Right.
Because you're talking from the heart and you're showing a bit of passion, the ups and downs, the lows, because that's in you. That's your memories. You've just shared everything that's going on in your head with them people.
Yeah. And what are you doing yourself? Because I know when we spoke that you said the cancer thing.
Yeah, really... I really want to do a thing with, because like Brian, I've got my other mate who's like my brother. He's now dying in palliative care and it's breaking my heart and I'm going backwards and forwards with you. Right. So it's took up, mentally, it's not drained me because I need to be there for them people. Because like, that's what friends should do. And that's my wake-up call is, that could be me. So who knows? Like, and, you know, we've all got to look after ourselves and each other.
Yeah.
You know, a friend ain't just a friend because it's a party or it's a bit of gear or it's a fight. It's got to be like someone you pick the phone up, have a chat, and you just run about a trustworthy. Right, that phone call. I know you ain't spoke and I ain't spoke about us. That's a bit of trust. That reinstated all the trust. Then
I've got to say though, you're the bigger man because you've hit the phone up.
Yeah. But whatever. You ain't gone. Yeah, he's rung me up, and which you could have quite easily done if you wanted to go out there and go. Yeah, I've got him on the phone. He's rung me up, but. That's the trust. You've reinstalled that trust in you, which I lost, which I never is, and it was worth it to do what we've done today. And do you know what? I've actually been myself today. I've not had to play a part. Right. You've had to play a part. The Joker, I know how you were, but we've actually been ourselves.
Right.
That's amazing.
You've seen the real Carlton Leach and the real Terry Stone.
It's amazing, isn't it? Cheers, Tom.
Yeah, no, very great. Cheers, Carl. Carl, I just got to say, I love you. You're like my brother.
No, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
No, thank you for coming on.
You know what? But the thing is, we've actually delved into things that no one else is in. Like us, they don't even know. Like we've gone right, you know.
Yeah.
And thank you for dedicating show to Brian Tuff.
Yeah,
and
no,
that.
listen, Brian
and
was
I know
a great
that,
man.
and I know he has brought us together. There's a reason, you know, like, yeah, good
100%.
man.
And one person that we haven't spoken about is Dave Courtney.
Yeah.
He's another person that...
Yeah, and he died, yeah. I didn't know that because obviously, like, I mean, you spent years with him and everything. Yeah, I love the man.
Yeah,
he was a character.
Good fun.
Brilliant. Well, you know, and
he was like a stand-up comedian.
There's so many shows I've done with him, you know, like over the years. Funny. And do you know what? He was like you knew word for word what would come out, the same jokes.
Right.
But he just had he held an audience in his hand. Right. Whether it was 20 or 400 people. Right. And never had one fall out of him, never had a bad word. And another thing I've got to thank you, which I think is because of you, I actually got to meet Wilf Pine. What an amazing man.
He's amazing. Wilf.
What a fucking amazing man.
He was great.
What a gent. What a legend.
Well, so that's three. Brian, Dave and Wilf.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Wilf, like, and I still go up there, Bournemouth, see the boys, and when he introduced, when he took me Salisbury, had me there to get me and meet him, and he introduced me to all the and the time I spent with him, which is not as much as you, right? But what a fucking great man.
He's got some stories, isn't he?
No, awesome.
Yeah,
his presence.
Yeah,
you know, when he spoke, everybody listened.
Yeah.
I've never seen a man command it the way he walked in and like he was an amazing man. Yeah. And if you're looking down, Wilf, we're here together talking about you. Another one.
We're all friends again.
No, he's a brilliant man. Yeah. Absolutely amazing. Brilliant. And I couldn't get to his funeral. I was stuck in Spain. Right. Got the phone call and to fly back, and I couldn't get the flight back and everything. And he was like,
there's so many great people there. It's a shame we didn't see you.
I really wanted to go.
Yeah. But listen, mate, you was there. You was sending him the best.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So
I mean, we could sit here for another hour just talking about Wilf, Dave, things, you know.
But maybe that's a part two.
You just never know. You never know. But yes, that's another big thank you. You know, like obviously, like especially Wilf, because when the day we were filming in Epping and he come down and he sat with me, I've still got the when they recorded it behind the scenes. Right, like, Ian, don't give me the disc. And what he told me, it blew my mind.
Right.
But then what he knew about me.
Yeah.
He was so knowledgeable.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. And he's the only person, I've been to all the dudes, the boxing dudes, I've been with him and things like Joey Paul Seniors and there's Charlie Richardson, there's Joe, there's Roy Shaw, sitting at the table and he commanded respect from everybody. Yeah. People didn't realise.
Everyone knew who was behind him, that's probably why.
Manager of Black Sabbath. Yeah.
But
and the only made Englishman.
In the Mafia.
Yeah. He wanted to take me out there, but I couldn't get a visa. He said to me, please come out there. Yeah. Gambino's.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Brilliant.
He's brilliant.
Amazing man. And if anyone could ever read a book a true story and not a bullshit. Like, pick that man's book up.
Yeah.
Because there should be a film about him. He's an amazing man.
He gave me the rights to the book.
Yeah. Because I've got a signed copy,
and
like, originally.
I read it. And I was like, this isn't what happened. He went, I can't put anything in there until I die. And I was, but then he died without the fucking, so
and he suffered, didn't he, badly?
Yeah, badly. He had ill health for probably 15 years. And it was a joke because whenever I went to Vegas or New York, if I ever went to, because I used to, a few of his mates were out there's a restaurant called Rave's, and they always used to go, how's Wilfred? And I go, yeah, he's really well. And they go, is he still dying? And I was like, he's been dying for 15 years.
Yeah.
So it was an ongoing joke.
Yeah.
But he had stents in his heart.
I know.
He went through a lot.
Things cut off, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was really suffering because like when I see him near the end, the pain he was in, it was like, it made you want to cry.
Yeah.
For such a, he was like, I don't know, he was some of them people that you put above that ceiling. Yeah. As I had this building go, he was up there.
Yeah. And he was always.
I know you thought about him.
No, he's a lovely man.
I've got to. And that's another thing, another stupid thing, because if we stayed in touch, like we could have gone and seen him together and things like that. Once I met him through you, and anyway.
Listen, mate, it's all come around 360, so we're all good.
Yeah.
But Carlton, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
And thanks for just delving into stuff that we've never spoken about before.
No.
You never spoken about before.
No.
But now everybody knows the truth. Everybody knows there is no beef. The only beef we're having is in the Wimpy afterwards.
In about 8.
I want to thank you all for tuning into the Criminal Connection podcast. Now, a lot of people will not know this fact, but 80% of you do not subscribe to our channel. You watch it, but you don't subscribe. Now, if you could do me a favour and subscribe, it helps the channel. It means we get bigger guests. And we will see you next week because we've got another amazing guest lined up for you. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you on the other side.